Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Modern Day Debate. Tonight, we have Darryl versus Austin on Is the Earth the Center of the Universe? And Darryl has up to 10 minutes to get us started. So, Darryl, thank you so much for being here, and the floor is all yours.
Awesome. Let me share my screen.
Sure thing. When you get that fired up, we'll start the timer.
And I need to move this over here.
That gives
I
everybody
had
a.
it set, but apparently everything reset itself after I closed it in between time.
That's all
So
right.
let me just position this again.
Before everybody gets, fervently typing in the live section, this will give them a chance to actually hit the like button before they wear out their thumbs. See, that's how I'm going to pitch that tonight. All right, looks like we're up and running. So
Awesome.
once the actual, there we go. Gravity
Ready?
disproves geocentrism. We have that on the screen there. 10
Awesome.
minutes on the floor.
Sounds good. So my name is Darryl Lee Berry Jr. A few of you may know me from a few previous debates I've done here. A little bit about me. Right now, I'm a student at UT Austin. I'm a double major in physics and astronomy. I have two associate degrees, summa cum laude. I also work at the university as a learning assistant. So I'm definitely not an expert at physics, but I have a basic understanding. I help people learn it. Tutoring is available if anybody's interested. My current research right now, which I'll talk a little bit about in my presentation, is solar composition and solar rotation. So I'll tie that into how we know that the solar system is heliocentric. I'll start with talking about gravity. So the idea is, and this is a quote from one of my astronomy textbooks, the heliocentric system was secured when the 17th century British mathematician Isaac Newton developed a deeper understanding of the way all objects move and interact with one another. So the idea of talking about geocentrism is actually a de-evolution in logic and reasoning and science to pre-17th century. That's amazing. But this is what we're dealing with. But ever since Newton, Kepler came first, but Newton actually put the meat behind why Kepler's laws work. So, and it works on every single level. Of course, we have little g, 9.8 meters per second squared. We could determine an object that falls off a cliff, how long it takes to hit the bottom, how fast it reaches until it gets there. We can go further out, like for instance, the discovery of planets. So if you look into early astronomy, they only knew about the first six planets, and Neptune and so forth were too small to see, not even to mention Pluto, which they discounted as sort of a dwarf planet or whatever. But these laws and these understandings dealing with gravity and Kepler's laws and so forth allow them to predict where planets would be. And it's the perturbation in their prediction that allowed them to discover the planet Neptune. So the predictive power of these laws and formulas are highly precise, and they govern how the planets move, which allows us to predict when things will be. For instance, where Jupiter will be with all of its moons. You can see Uranus in the background. This is one of the things you can look online to see where things are in the solar system. We could predict these things to a T with Kepler's laws as far as relative positions. Then we brought it to a more accurate rendition with accurate distances of things now without the technology and everything that we have today. And it extends beyond the solar system. So we're talking about whether the Earth is the center of the universe. Here's a video of stars orbiting the black hole in the center of the Milky Way galaxy. I'm not sure if I remember right, they might have even earned a Nobel Prize for this. I'm not sure about that part though. But as we can see, these are stars orbiting the central black hole over a 20-year time lapse. So we can see gravity at work locally in the solar system. We can see the predictive power of it, which allows us to discover planets that we didn't know about before. We look into space, we see stars orbiting the central black hole, right? And then we can look even farther and look at, for instance, galaxies and clusters of galaxies. So this is the bullet cluster is important because this cluster allowed us to determine that there must be some other matter in the universe that doesn't fit the normal parameters of baryonic matter, which we call dark matter. And we know that because we can look at the gravitational lensing, which is with these contours, denote. And we can see that the majority of the mass, which is in the center, the reddish orangish plasma, is not where the majority of the gravitational lensing is happening. So similar to how we utilize gravity to discover a planet, we utilize gravity to discover a different type of matter. So when things are similar in mass, like this is an actual picture on the left side of Sirius A and Sirius B, which, by the way, and I'll show it even farther, shows which it is completely wrong about the idea of stars not being spherical objects. But when stars are similar in mass, we can see them orbiting around a center of mass. And I'll start to tie this into the sun and the solar system. As I mentioned, my current research is about the sun. One of the things I did, I made a video on a while ago. I calculated the circumference of the Earth, a la Eratosthenes. Along the way, I calculated the size of the sun. We could see the sun in the sky. We know its angular size. We could have various ways to get its distance. We know it's 93 million miles away, for instance, from radar ranging. And simple calculations, I found that the diameter of the sun is 860,000 miles, which is very close to the official value. Now, these are some images from a satellite in space, the Soho satellite. As a part of my research, I'm determining the rotation of the sun. As you can see, the sun is a physical object. The sun is rotating. It's not just some electromagnetic thing or just fairy light in the sky like I heard Witzer talk about before. It's an actual object. Um, so to go farther with that, I did a detailed study of the spots, about 12 different spots. I studied it across its rotation around the sun. I calculated that the sun rotates about 15 degrees per day, 23, about 23 days for full rotation. The tangential velocity around the center of the sun is about 2.2 kilometers per second. Along the way, I also, in preparing for this, calculated the mass of the sun as well as the mass of the Earth, and it's pretty simple when you understand rotations and the orbits and the distances that's going on. Now, I know I'm dealing with a bunch of people that are very delusional about what satellites are and whether images are real. So, as part of my research, I went and got my own telescope and took some pictures of the sun. On the left, you see my own picture of the sun that I took on the 3rd. I made a brief video while I was out there one day. On the right is the actual satellite photo from the same day, from amidst the pictures that I used to make that previous video. So as we can see close up, the sun is an object. It has blemishes on it that we call sunspots. It rotates as well. There's elements in the sun. So this is spectra I took of the sun recently. I've been getting better and better at getting spectra of the sun. If you look at the right, at the top, you can see that those elements are characteristics of elements in the sun. Hydrogen beta is hydrogen that has a certain transition of its electron, so it emits at a certain frequency, as well as carbon and magnesium. So these elements are pretty central to astronomy as far as studying stars and even in other parts of the galaxy and elsewhere to see their composition and things of that nature. If you look at the bottom, the comparison is the same spectrum on the right side, but those are telluric or earthbound elements. So oxygen, as well as water, right there around 720. An interesting thing I noticed, by the way, as a little bit of a side, also compared the spectra of the sun on a cloudy day. So on the left, that spectra looks pretty much like the sky spectra with slight differences because even though a lot of the spectra is still suppressed by the heavy cloud, as you can see, hydrogen beta, carbon, and magnesium still makes it through, albeit at a lower intensity. But if you look at the spectra comparing water and oxygen, telluric oxygen to HBC and magnesium, I noticed at least that the depression of the oxygen is so great, obviously because the atmosphere is here. But apparently, it seems like those frequencies of light even make it through some heavy interference, which may be why it's so central to astronomy. So I thought that was interesting. In my last minute here, I'll talk about some of the things that we can tell from observing the solar system, like retrograde motion, which is consistent with a sun-centered centered solar system. The things we can predict with our understanding of the solar system using Newton's laws, Kepler's laws, the positions of planets, retrograde, planetary conjunctions, orbits of comets, meteor showers. And of course, you couldn't get out of it without me mentioning solar eclipses, which is one of my favorite things.
30
So that's an
seconds.
image of the solar eclipse from the ISS, and that's pretty much it. So look forward to discussing more as we go along.
Excellent. And discuss we shall. So yeah, if you're having a good time, make sure that you hit the like button, boost us up in the algorithm. We are going to be doing Q&A before the end here. So if you have any questions for either of our speakers while I get our screens all fixed back up, definitely get it in now and they'll be asked with priority. Look at that, guys. See how Zoom loves to just muck everything about. Perfect. All right, Austin, you have up to 10 minutes on the floor. Thank you so much for being here. Haven't seen you in a while, so it's good to be chilling on screen with you again, and I'll start your timer.
Nice. Thank you, man. All right. Let's just cover some of the basics here. So, what does typically happen in a lot of these discussions is it gets really into the weeds. Um, and so I want to kind of lay basic premise of logic out here. The claim that the Earth is spinning and orbiting the sun is a positive claim that is antithetical to our experience. And this is just a fact, right? I mean, let's hypothetically say that we believe that we're going around the sun for a second. Well, we don't actually experience that. So we start to look at what we do experience and then try to explain it from that paradigm. That basic acknowledgement means that the one claiming that the Earth is going around the sun has the burden of proof. So what has happened over the course of time is this claim has evolved to now say that you could never actually detect or measure the Earth moving around the sun. It's impossible because time slows down and distances change. So there's no way to actually prove it or verify it. That all astronomical observations into the deepest parts of space that we can see will always make it look like the Earth is stationary and in the center of the universe, but that is just an illusion. You can never actually prove it with astronomical observation. So that is the current stillman. And to go more into this idea of, I will stillman the idea that gravity debunks geocentrism, and then I will show why it's wrong really quickly. This is the popular argument typically, or retrograde or parallax, and all of these things have what's called a kinematic equivalence, meaning that they're equally valid whether the Earth is in the center or not, according to the mainstream heliocentric model. So I don't want to lose people necessarily, but let's get into this idea about gravity. So we go back to Newton at 1666, and he has his Principia, and he proposes this idea of gravity. And for those who don't know, Newton said he couldn't understand it at all. He basically just reverse engineered the kinematics of Kepler and then threw in an mass value. That's literally what it is. Kinematics has nothing to do with the force, that's dynamic. So anyway, that's where that idea comes from. And then Newton says, but I'm not gonna lie, I don't even see how this could really happen. I can't understand it. I think it must be a direct act of God if this is correct. And there must be a background medium. That's why he subsequently wrote about the ether in depth multiple times. Now, what they will not tell you in mainstream academia is that the final page of his Principia actually said, as a caveat to all the stuff he had previously discussed, all that being said, the Earth could, of course, be in the center of the universe. And he says this is because there could be gravitation and a force akin to that working in conjunction, and the Earth could just happily be in the center of the universe and explain all of the phenomena. The idea is that gravity, or that the sun has such a big mass that means that the Earth would have to go around it, is basically what someone's saying when they say that gravity debunks geocentrism. It actually isn't true. You can get into someone called Ernst Mach. He came along, a couple hundred years ago and pointed out that all of physics had overlooked this idea that according to Newton in his actual dynamic claim, his proposal of gravity, you would have to concede the Earth could just be in the center of the universe. And that's because you could account for all the mass of the entire universe. And if that was moving around the Earth in the center, then that would satisfy the equations. Important to note that that's all that they are. They are equations. And what you will always hear is people just use the word gravity as if it is some verified, proven, defined idea, When in reality, the top levels of academia to this day will tell you they have no idea what it is. Many are coming out now and saying we're clearly very wrong about what we even previously thought that it was. People skip over the define or prove the gravity part, and they just use it typically in this more elementary level of like mass attracts mass. So to cut to the chase there, Ernst Mach pointed out, well, you guys forgot and overlooked that Newton thought the sun was in the center of the entire universe. He made the assumption the sun was in the center of the universe. But we now know that isn't true, right? We've looked out and we've seen that's not the case. So, like, there's stuff way beyond what people call and reify called the solar system. So he said, okay, now that we know that, and Newton obviously didn't take that into account, he assumed the sun was in the center of the universe. Now, using his own dynamic claim, even if we were to grant it, it would denote that the Earth could be in the center of the universe. This is the Machian principle. Originally, Einstein pushed against this and ended up conceding and apologizing to Mach and being like, wow, turns out you got ridiculed for no reason. You were right. I can't even propose my theory if I don't acknowledge that the Machian principle that you're talking about is correct. Then Einstein ends up telling the world the Earth could be in the center of the universe. So let me run you through a few things that definitively show it. And like I said, our experience in the default position is that the Earth is in the center of the universe. What has happened over time is that the heliocentric model was just kind of reified. It was proposed by people with religious motivation, which is the irony is palpable, when it comes to how people approach this conversation as the dichotomy of science versus religion. Heliocentrism was birthed from religious beliefs that the sun was some type of deity or tied to some type of deified source, literally. All of the prominent people that proposed it. But anyway, so we're going to fast forward to people assuming that the heliocentric model was true because they had their little occultic sun worshiping beliefs. And then we get to things such as Michelson-Morley. And Michelson-Morley, assuming the Earth orbits the sun, assuming that there was a background medium called the ether, which had been verified with multiple tests at that point, it wasn't even disputed. They did not detect the motion of the Earth. I'm going to really make this point, and we'll see if this ever actually gets directly addressed because it's typically avoided. So the Michelson-Morley had an error margin of 1 kilometer a second. So if the reading could be off in 1 kilometer per second, either direction. They consistently got a measurement around 6 kilometers per second. They were supposed to detect a 30 kilometer per second orbit around sun. This changed all of physics. This didn't just get rid of the ether, it changed all of physics. Einstein came in and then gave us this idea of relativity, embracing relative motion in space and time, bending and warping, time slowing down, et cetera, that basically equates to you could never actually detect it. That's why Einstein himself said in multiple different quotes and writings and letters and in publications that he's come to the conclusion you can never actually detect that the Earth is orbiting around the sun in any experiment on the Earth ever. Okay, so that's a unfalsifiable claim, right? That's so again, that side objectively has a burden of proof, and they're stapling their entire claim with an unfalsifiable position. So frankly, that kind of ends the debate. But here's the main thing. Einstein said, okay, yeah, we are consistently getting that reading. And so he came up with an idea to say, oh, well, based on the way that space and time bend and warp, and actually we're free falling, Newton was wrong. We're not going around because of a force. So you can't detect it. You're just going to get zero. You can't detect the orbit, even though we're moving. But they did keep on getting a measurement. Then Dayton Miller replicated it. Millions of measurements. And then it's been replicated into modern times. Now, this is what Einstein said about Dayton Miller's replications that kept verifying, oh, we are detecting a little bit of motion, but it can't be the Earth orbiting the sun. He said, if that is true, if Dayton Miller's measurements are accurate, my entire theory collapses like a house of cards. And if it's not due to some underlying fundamental error, I have no explanation, and it completely disproves everything that I've proposed to save the heliocentric paradigm. Okay. Well, here is the question that I want to wrap up with. This summarizes the entire debate. They could never, and no one ever has, proposed exactly what this supposed error is. What is the cause of this error? They try to say it was temperature. They control for radiant heat sources and proved that it wasn't. So the measurement is consistently showing a correlation with direction in altitude, and solar motion periodicity, the time of the year. So this cannot be an error this cannot be an instrumental error. The instrument doesn't care what cardinal direction it is. Instrumental error doesn't care what time of year it is. Okay, and then we can get into obviously all the observations where you get into Edwin Hubble that show that, oh, wow, never mind. The Earth does look like it's in the center. And that's where you get the idea of anisotropic, homogeneous distribution in all directions that makes the Earth look like it's in the center. So we'll start there. I got 30 seconds I left, so I'll say this. Parallax, retrograde, stellar aberration, all of these things are not even on the table as exclusive to heliocentrism. So again, to reiterate, the people claiming that we are in fact orbiting the sun have the burden of proof. So the question should be answered, and this is the question in conclusion. Do you have any exclusive evidence that the Earth is in fact orbiting the sun? If it is not, it is in the center of the universe.
All right. Well, that was a perfect time wrap up pretty much there. So I appreciate that, Austin. Thank you so much for your introductory statement. Thanks again to our live chat, everybody hanging out and making contributions to the chat. We appreciate you. I've put a poll up, so if you're the type of person that doesn't miss your mouth with a fork, you can hit the like button and participate in our poll there. So we're going to carry into our open discussion. Once again, we'll be doing a Q&A at the end, everybody. So if you put in a super chat, we'll read that with priority. Yeah, Darryl, I'll hand the floor over to you to respond to some of what you just heard. And then Austin, feel free to jump in. It's open discussion time.
So what's it? Can we just go ahead and just go to question and answer and end this debate because you're so wrong? Would you just agree that you're so wrong about stuff? We could just end it now and call you the loser of the debate. Would you agree to that?
What in the world kind of question
This
is
was
that?
not the approach we were expecting. Yeah, so
Hey man,
me
do you
give
have
an
any proof
example.
the Earth moves around the sun?
Let me give an example of what I mean. One moment here. I'll show a very, I'll play a very short clip. This is you speaking. So one moment here.
Because
You're not gonna.
you just start to see, you're going to be able to know where it's going to be in a few days, more and more so the closer it is to that moment, right? Like you're seeing it moving in its path, and so it's getting closer and closer to where it's going to be, which just kind of shows that their whole facade of how well they understand the sky is a lie.
Right. So you just said that them being off on that eclipse a little bit means they don't know what they're talking about. Their predictions are a lie.
No,
Now,
time out.
you all,
What,
th-
Daryl? I can promise you, what's not going to happen is that you're going to play out of context clips and then rephrase and tell the audience what I was saying.
All
So
right.
now, and by the way, I'm here right now.
that's not what I'm doing.
Okay.
Daryl, real fast, just so you
All
know,
right,
I'm
all right.
actually,
Ryan
I'm
just
Just
actually,
gave
hold
me
on
the
1 second there,
floor
Daryl. 1
to
second.
address
Daryl,
you.
just 1 second,
So,
Daryl. You've played a clip of
okay.
Austin speaking. I think it's fair for Austin to explain the context of the clip, and then let's carry on just because
Okay.
you are using his own, his own voice there. So let's give Austin a chance.
I just want to really quick. I'm actually here right now, so you can talk to me. That's a kind of a weird tactic to do anyway. But the context was that provably anyone that actually knows how eclipse predictions are done, which is completely irrelevant to anything being discussed in our openers, and this is a complete red herring from the beginning of the debate. I was saying that actually you have to look at the inclination measurements and many different measurements of the moon. And every astronomer will tell you that you have to make these measurements closer and closer to time to get a more precise measurement or prediction. And I said that actually shows that this whole facade that they could just map it out perfectly 10,000 years in advance because they know exactly what the heliocentric model does isn't true. You have to look at the actual moon within a few weeks leading up to every eclipse to get a more accurate prediction of where it's going to be and exactly when it's going to be. So you were trying to misrepresent that, and I don't really know what that has to do with the discussion anyway.
I'm leading to that right now. That's why I want to play another clip right away because it's measured, it's pertinent to something else that was in near that discussion.
Bait tactic was to come with clips of me talking at other times.
I'll show you momentarily. We're going to talk together now. This is you.
But what I really want to make sure, this is the proper way to do this. There's a claim on the table that we know what the eclipse is. It's that the spherical moon is getting in front of the spherical sun. That cannot be what's happening because the shadow is a circle. And shadows, spheres don't cast circle shadows on other spheres. It creates an S wave shadow. So we can throw that explanation out. It's been refuted with geometry.
All right, so this is you saying that geometry proves that the eclipse can't be happening the way they say it's happening because shadows can't cast a spherical object can't cast a spherical shadow.
All right.
So let
Just
me
in the
show you an
interest of fairness,
experiment
just
I did today
1 second there,
and
Darryl.
get your response.
I'm so sorry. I'm just got in the interest of fairness once again. If you're gonna play clips of Austin, I think it's fair for him
Okay,
to respond and
sounds good.
give us some context of where what he might have been saying there, or even just pull us into some of the talking points he may want to discuss tonight.
Okay.
We're totally fine to go down different avenues of what's been talked about, but like I said, I think it's only fair that we give Austin a chance to respond before we just keep moving to the next thing. So,
Sounds
Austin,
good.
if you want to go ahead.
Yeah, sure. I'd just like to make a point that the first time you proposed it, you just gave me very strong evidence and had nothing to say about it. And this is going to happen again. So I didn't say that spheres can't cast circular shadows. What I said is if you take a sphere and you put it in front of another sphere to cast a shadow, so it's casting a shadow onto another sphere, it will objectively, provably, verifiably distort that shadow. It will not remain a perfect circle as it crosses the entire face of the other sphere. This is, again, basic geometry because, of course, the surface of the sphere is convex. So that's what was actually said. None of that has anything to do with the question of if the Earth is in the center of the universe.
What you just said, now everybody heard it. You said what you said was that this can't happen. You said that a sphere can't cast a circular shadow on another sphere. It's going to cast an S-type shadow. And the circular shadow that we saw, this was on the 8th of April. So it seems you were talking about that eclipse that is circular, so it's impossible. You're wrong.
Okay, now we're going to correct you again.
Just today.
We're going to have to correct you again, Darryl. So actually what I said was if you take a sphere and you move it in front of the face of another sphere, as it goes from one side of the face of the sphere to the other, it will distort. It will distort. There are many videos of people doing it. Not if you just find the perfect angle that you can cast one. If you move that baseball in front of that basketball from face to face, that sphere will distort from a perfect circle. This is easily verified. And again, a complete red herring out the gate from the actual subject of the debate.
I see it right there on the screen. The subject of the debate, this is why I bring this up. Your entire presentation was pretty much, believe me, bro, you presented no evidence. You presented no references. All you did was say a bunch of stuff and say, this is how it is, right? So the only thing you presented is just your word, believe in your word. I'm pointing out that your word can't be counted on.
Wait, we're going to actually make sure that you admit you're wrong, and everyone in the chat is going to, they're all claiming that you got me. And also, do you agree that it's different when I say that if you take a sphere and move it across the entire face of another sphere, that as it moves across it, the shadow will become distorted in the process of moving across the convex surface? That is different than taking a still shot of a sphere in front of another sphere to get a circle. Are those different things?
I'll give you something better than that.
Are those different things?
I'll give you something better than that.
You can't answer.
Pay attention to how this conversation has progressed and just use a little bit of wisdom, pattern recognition, and discernment. Realize that when someone is telling the truth, they are going to stay consistent. They're going to remain consistent. Someone that is representing something untrue will have to constantly shuck and jive and update and change their position.
So what you're doing, according to your own words, is you're shucking and jiving. What you're saying now does not match the clip I played. And that's why, Ryan,
you played it out of context. How about you want to bet live right now $10,000 that if I go find that clip, that's what I said?
I know he's going to change what he said. That's
okay, do you want to bet right now in front of the whole audience $1,000 that if we go find me talking about it in context, that's exactly what I said?
I'll tell you what I can do. I can put the links to each of these in the chat right now. If you give me a moment. Every single
so
one
you
of
won't
these
bet that.
is
So it
directly
doesn't.
referenced.
So basically, this completely backfired. You got to lead your points twice. They weren't even relevant to geocentrism, and we can recap them very briefly. You brought up the eclipse and how you said you straw man that I said that because they had to kind of change it, it disproves heliocentrism. Lie. I had to correct you. What I actually said was it's a fact that any astronomer will tell you that you have to make more and more measurements closer to the time of the eclipse to actually get the final prediction because we don't know exactly what the inclination, angle, etc. of the moon is going to be. That is a fact. That backfired. You ran away from it. Secondly, you thought you had some big gotcha with a still shot picture because you didn't actually understand what I was saying once you took another clip out of context, which is it's actually about moving it across the sphere. If you understood basic geometry, you would understand why, because at one point the shadow is going to be further away from the actual object casting the shadow than it is in front of or closer to the apex of the convex surface. So obviously there's going to be a difference in distance as the object moves in front of the other one, which will distort it, making it more of an S shape. We verified it. There are dozens of videos where you can watch it actually be distorted. This completely backfired. Now let's go back to the actual topic of the debate, and I'll ask my question again, because if you think I just have to sit here and listen to you play out of context clips of me all night where I have to continually scold you and then you just run away from it, that's not really what I agreed to. The question is simple. I'm going to give you the floor. It's just a simple question, man. It's pertinent to the actual discussion. Do you have any proof that the Earth is moving around the sun?
First thing is, since all you've presented is your word for your presentation, and now we find from your own words, you're just shucking and jiving, right? You haven't presented anything. So it's typical of you, and because I'm not going to let you run from this point. These are your actual words, so people could compare from what you actually said.
Because you just start to see, you're going to be able to know where it's going to be in a few days, more and more so the closer it is to that moment, right? Like you're seeing it moving in its path, and so it's getting closer and closer to where it's going to be, which just kind of shows that their whole facade of how well they understand the sky is a lie.
Now the funny thing is, you seem to be so happy about quotes when it's somebody else's quotes. When you're talking about Einstein, right? When you're talking about whoever, but suddenly quotes are not a thing.
I fully stand behind that quote, Darryl.
If you go to my presentation, I showed that the sun is a physical object. I showed the massiveness of the sun by observation. I showed my own picture of the sun where we know that the satellite photos are accurate. I showed that the sun is rotating, took a picture of the sun, and showed that the sun is made of physical objects. Newton's laws dictate, just like how we drop something on the ground, just like how if we look at the planets rotating, how we discovered Uranus, just like how we can look at the stars, or just like how we can look at the stars orbiting around the center of the galaxy. My whole presentation was evidence that we know.
So you don't have any proof.
You asked me to answer your question. Now I'm answering. Let me answer.
You don't have any proof.
My whole presentation was the evidence that we know
the sun being a physical object proves the Earth is not in the center of the universe. Explain how that works.
The idea is that mass attracts mass. One of the things
that's not even what your model claims anymore.
And you want to talk about obfuscating. Who's obfuscating now?
All right.
Literally not me. Literally not me.
Explain my point. You asked me. You said, stop here and answer this question. I said, no. First, let's finish this.
Oh, fair enough. Let me repeat the question, and I'm just going to let you fully explain it.
Okay.
I asked you, do you have proof the Earth moves around the sun? You listed off a bunch of things that don't prove it at all. One of them was that you showed that the sun is a physical object. Please explain how that's exclusive to heliocentrism.
Explain how. You notice how you changed the question? Shucking and driving.
Same question.
And driving. Can you just be honest and ask a direct question and let me answer it instead of changing the question?
Please explain to the audience how showing that the sun's a physical object is somehow exclusive evidence of heliocentrism.
Exclusive evidence of heliocentrism. Your question is not making sense, man. Let me explain what I'm saying. That's the topic of the debate, Darryl. Let me explain what I'm saying, and then we can go from there. You already asked the question. I was answering it, and now you're interrupting me and changing the question a bit.
Let's carry into the question there, Darryl. Before we get into meta discussion, let's just, go ahead and answer.
He's the one that's doing the meta discussion. He interrupted my answer.
I keep on having to ask the actual topic of the debate.
All right, we're doing it again, fellas. Go ahead and let's try to focus on the question.
So I'll start again. I'll start again with what I was saying. My whole presentation is the evidence that the solar system is heliocentric. So, you know, I demonstrated or showed that the sun is a physical object. It's not some electromagnetic thing. It's not some all these different ideas that I know some of the flat earthers, they probably took pictures of planets and stars and got these blobs. I showed that you can see that it's a physical object and it's moving. I personally took spectra of the sun and confirmed that there's elements in the atmosphere of the sun. It is a physical object. We know that mass attracts mass from dropping something on the Earth, 9.8 meters per second squared, from looking at the orbits of the planets, from using that understanding to predict that other planets have to be there that we didn't know about that we can now see with our telescopes. All of these things confirm that gravity is real. Looking at the stars rotating around the center of the galaxy, looking at the galaxy clusters, the bullet cluster, and seeing gravitational interaction. All of these things can confirm that gravity is real. Therefore, since the sun is as massive as it is, the only way we can have a orbit is for, and technically they orbit each other, but the mass of the sun is so great that is essentially in the same spot. Therefore, the Earth orbits the sun. Unless you can debunk gravity, right? We know that we live in a heliocentric system. That was the nature of my presentation because I was anxious to get on this topic. That's why I based it on gravity.
Right.
So let's go.
Yeah, I addressed that argument in my opener. And I explained that even Newton himself, in the very publication that he proposed gravity that you're invoking of mass attracting mass, which is no longer considered admissible at the highest levels of academia in your paradigm. Okay, he explains on the last page that the Earth could, in fact, be in the center of the universe utilizing his theory of gravity. Literally, Newton himself said it. Secondly, I explained Newton thought the sun was in the center of the universe. So we had the same train of thought that you're proposing. Well, if the sun is really massive, it's the greatest mass, then of course it must be in the center, and that causes the Earth to go around it because the Earth has a smaller mass, the sun has a bigger mass. Therefore, that's how we can say that the Earth is revolving around the sun. He thought the sun was in the center of the entire universe. Then Ernst Mach came along using Newton's actual theory and showed definitively with the dynamics and equations of Newton's proposal that if he had have known the sun actually wasn't in the center of the universe and that there was a ton more mass outside of it, then he would know that, for example, distant galaxies and their rotational momentum would actually have overpowered the local assumed gravitational field of the sun. Now, this is me granting you the mass of the sun and all these other things that you actually can't verify. I went into your own backyard and showed you that you don't understand Isaac Newton at all, and that's not even what's considered valid. And let me share screen real fast to show you something about Newton. You've said 3 times now that they used this gravity to somehow, just to clarify, I just showed demonstrably, and I will show the quotes if I have to, from the very source you're invoking, it isn't actually exclusive evidence that the Earth's in the center. But I want to say that the more important part is you're basically saying it has predictive capability, which I touched on that as well. I said it's actually Kepler's ratio using radii, right? And that's kinematics. He reverse engineered it. But to not get too lost in the weeds, you said that they discovered Neptune this way, right? So your whole argument was like, oh, we know gravity is true because they discovered Neptune with it. Do you care if I share screen real quick?
Oh, you can go ahead for sure. But before you go ahead and start, discussing what's on screen here, if Darryl wanted to respond to some of what he just heard.
Sure. Yeah.
that's
Sure.
fair.
Sure. Yeah.
Fine with him doing this thing. Go ahead.
All right. Awesome. Go ahead there. What's it?
All right. Cool. So I want to Okay. So just a faint flicker in them or in one of them every time we hear of the triumphant discovery of Neptune, this quote unquote monumental achievement of theoretical astronomy, right? So the textbooks omit this, that instead of the orbit, Neptune agreeing with the calculations of Adams and Leverrier, it was so different that Leverrier said that it was not the planet of his calculations. Later, it was thought best to say no more upon the subject. The textbooks omit this, that in 1846, everyone who knew a sine from a cosine was out signing and cosigning for a planet beyond Uranus. 2 of them guessed right. To some minds, even after Levier's own rejection of Neptune, the word guest may be objectionable, but according to Professor Pierce of Harvard, the calculations of Adams and Levier would have applied quite as well to positions many degrees from the position of Neptune. Or Professor Pierce's demonstration that the discovery of Neptune was only a happy accident, and then it quotes the American Academic Sciences. And I want to point out, Neptune was observed before the alleged discovery. Tons of people made tons of actual quote unquote predictions of these extra planets, and that even the proposed calculation that supposedly did actually predict it, it could have predicted many different other planets. The person that even is attributed to it thought it wasn't the one that he calculated for. So there's the actual citation. Again, you can go look at Professor Pierce from Harvard. And it is called the Proceedings of the American Academy of Arts and Sciences. So,
All right, if you wanted to leave that up, if you want to respond to that, Darryl, while it's on screen.
Certainly. So you said a whole bunch of stuff. The only thing out of that I can relate to, because I've confirmed the nature of it myself, we agree that given the mass, given the sun is as massive as we know it is, then we would have the Earth orbiting the sun. Everything else is pretty much still just the whole front of that stuff was your word. Then we have this document that, compared to evidence, like the predictions that we have, is not even worth my time. I've already showed you a trucker and driver, according to your own words. So, no, you're not presenting anything but just your words and something else that you could be getting wrong. So I've presented actual observations, actual recordings, actual evidence that you can sink your teeth into. That so you know what, something you can do if you actually wanted to get my attention. If you wanted to, why don't you do this? Let us know. Let's see. When is the next time Mercury is in inferior conjunction, given your model of the geocentric solar system? When is the next time Mercury is in inferior conjunction? And show us how to do that with your model.
Literally any ephemeris you would use to determine that, all but two are geocentric.
Oh, good. Well, show us the model then. Let's do that.
You want me to show you the list of all the ephemeris that are literally
I want you to
all
show us the
geocentric?
positions of the planets and the sun and how the orbits go, and the formulas we can use to calculate that for ourselves.
Okay, it's literally just about the periodicity of the planets, and we map them out from a geocentric position. All the ephemeris are geocentric. Your model would claim, oh, well, we do that for convenience sake because we're observing it from the Earth, and relatively speaking, it's the same anyway. So any prediction of conjunctions or anything like that would literally be a direct equivalent. It would be equally valid. It would be an equivalent kinematic prediction. This is like basic stuff. So we have to get back to like, can you actually do you agree that you can't actually like detect and measure with any type of experiment or test that the Earth is actually orbiting around the sun at 66,600 miles per hour? Do you agree that that's impossible to actually detect, measure, or verify with experiment or measurement?
Right. So again, we have still just words. Apparently, you can do it. And then we want to try to get into this ephemeral thing about measuring the motion and thing. So we're going to go back. So to make sure we're clear, you're saying that we're living in a geocentric solar system, which means that all of science is wrong. We could predict and know the position of all the planets, where they're at, when they're going to be there. But we're understanding that you can't do that. You can't show us that model. So between the two, your position goes in the trash bin. And we understand that the Earth that the solar system is a heliocentric system. That's the way that works. That's the way so do you concede, right, that?
Do I concede what?
That you can't do it. You have nothing to offer. The heliocentric wins.
No, I guess you want me to share screen because what I just said is a fact, and no one would deny this that has even a basic. You're saying that it's just where your argument here is that I have to pull up literally everything. That's fine. I will. Like,
go ahead and
that's
share
pretty
screen if you'd
desperate.
like.
Sure. So I have to actually share the images here, some screenshots. I mean, this is weird because it's well known that we use like an Earth-centered, Earth-fixed coordinate system, and most of the actual models used are geocentric. The ephemeris is literally geocentric, but it's all good. I'll show you.
All right.
Okay.
And I will remind our audience, yeah, we will be doing a Q&A. I'd love to remind people that Super Chats get you priority. And as well, if you like what you're hearing from either of our speakers, we will have them tagged in the description. And that includes in our podcast forum, which all of these debates are uploaded within 24 hours to pretty much every podcast service that you want to name. So if you're listening to one that we're not on, let us know. But whenever you're ready there, Whatsit, just let me know.
Yeah, sorry. I just want to make sure the image will be like a decent size, but we'll just go ahead and do it. Share screen.
A1.
This is weird to me, but all right, I'm just sharing the image, right?
Yeah, you got the image, and our faces are on screen too, so everybody can see our lovely mugs. But you're up and sharing.
These are the geocentric ephemeris data for all the quote unquote planets and the sun and the moon. All the calculations are by Fred Espenak, the main guy who literally did all of that for NASA, all eclipse and planetary alignment predictions for NASA, the main top guy that did it for years and years and years. And he's also on record literally saying that he just uses geocentric coordinates. Here they are. Here's the key to the geocentric ephemeris of the planets. So here's literally everything that you need. And there's, of course, an entire list of all of this. So I guess were you just not aware that we use like ECEF coordinate systems to map out the sky?
So telling us where things are relative to the Earth, I mean, we see things relative to the Earth. That is not modeling a geocentric. I want you to actually show us how you can model the positions of everything, where they're going to be with a geocentric. Give us the equations. Give us what we can do. Like I said, this is my original question. Let us know when Mercury will next be in infrared conjunction, and show us how you do that. Show the positions of everything.
Okay, that's not how
that.
debate works, Darryl. You think you get to come to debate and then you have some pop quiz question and say, hey, I want you to show us mathematically how you're going to predict this specific astronomical event in the middle of a debate. But of course, anyone that's actually interested, they can go look up Andre Assis, a professor, a mathematics professor. He writes in relational mechanics, the specific equations you can use. There are many different ones. You can also look up Luka Popov with the neo-Tychonic system. I don't have to claim a specific model anyway, but both of those have the equations. You can use a Lorentz magnetic force, an equivalent, the dynamic equivalent using Mach's principle. You can actually, you can make all predictions with the geocentric model, assuming all those distances and masses that you believe in. I don't believe in them. That's why I don't make that claim. We're going to go back to the fact that matter is you won't even answer any, I'm answering all your questions. You're playing clips of me. But you refuse to answer even the most basic question. The first one was, do you have any actual exclusive evidence that the Earth orbits around the sun? The second was, can you at least concede that there is, according to your own paradigm, that there is no measurement, test, or experiment of any kind that you can do on the Earth to detect and verify that the Earth is orbiting around the sun, that you can actually physically measure and test and verify in real life to measure the Earth going around the sun? Do you agree that you cannot actually detect the Earth moving around the sun?
Answer both of those questions. The first question I went over how my whole presentation is evidence that the Earth goes around the sun. The second question, I told you, I've confirmed you're a trucker and driver. All you're doing is giving words, and I'm not going to accept your words. I've already addressed that. And just pointing out a reference that gives the position of everything relative to where the Earth is, that's not the same as what I was asking. That's not the same as showing in other words, put it like this. You're saying that all of science is wrong. You are saying that. You're saying that the majority of scientists for the last 2,000 years are wrong. Somehow you understand the way the solar system really works, and all of this is wrong. Yet we can point out where everything is, right? You can see the scale workings of it as a heliocentric model. If your model was better, and you really understood it to the point that you were able to overthrow, similar to how when Copernicus came along, and started to overthrow the Ptolemaic model. And then when Kepler came along and increased the Copernican model, Kepler was able to give his equation, right? He was able to give his equation p squared equals a cubed, and he was able to give that equation and calculate all the positions quite accurately of all the planets that they knew about. We're able to take that equation today and, like I said, predict things like finding other planets that was not there. That's the level of detail that you need if you want to claim you're overthrowing a model. You're not doing that. So for you to say you can't expect me to have that, that shows you're out of your league in addressing science. You have no clue what you have to do to even address it. You know, a couple didn't come along and say, hey, you know what, and just say a bunch of words. Or he actually came with an equation that we were able to quantify where everything was, and the predictive power of his model,
right, 10
right,
seconds.
confirmed it to be real and valid.
All right, go ahead there, Austin, if you want to
Oh,
respond.
sorry, I was muted. Yeah, we're sharing screen the whole time. Look, dude, that was really fallacious, okay, in many ways. Obviously, you just continually avoid the actual point. So you're using red herrings. You're using stereotype fallacies, hasty generalization fallacies, poisoning the well fallacies, reification fallacies, over and over and over. And just to say, like, oh, you think you're smarter than everyone else, so you're basically appealing to majority, appealing to authority, or using a credentials fallacy and a genetic fallacy. That was the most fallacious conglomerate of nonsense I've heard in a long time, respectfully,
right,
but I would really appreciate us actually discuss the point here. So I specifically cited a mathematics professor who has provided all of the equations. I will now go find it and pull it up. So I have to pull up like a 290-page, publication and find it for you. But I am citing it. So anyone at home that's actually interested in the truth can obviously go and look at everything that I'm saying. Again, though, I've answered all of your questions, even questions that were clearly your attempt to try to bring in flat Earth to this. I've answered clips out of context, all of that. And you can't answer one simple question. And my question was, can we actually physically detect or measure the actual physical motion that you claim exists of Earth's orbit? Do you concede that you cannot, according to your own paradigm, you cannot actually detect it?
All right, let's pass the ball.
All right. I've already established you're a shotgun driver, so I'm not going to accept what you tell me my model is. I've already said that. Secondly, to address what you said earlier, I wasn't just, when I was talking about the arrogance of feeling you know better than scientists, I was not just pulling something out of my ass, as the saying goes.
Dude, I'm not trying to brag here or whatever, just to make my point. I'm in the higher percentile of IQ. You would get demolished. I would wipe the floor with Neil deGrasse Tyson. Literally, I would demolish that dude. Oh, okay. My 160 IQ disagrees with you.
All
They'll
right,
claim
all
I'm
right.
stupid, claim I'm dumb.
All right,
when-
so
All right,
I would
so
expect
I will
somebody
obviously
who-
never be
who is
debating this
I would
guy
expect
again.
somebody.
We can't-
I would
we
expect
can't
somebody. This is my
debate.
time to
Hold on.
respond. I would expect somebody who has a 160
You're acting
IQ
like a
and
woman.
could wrap rings around Neil deGrasse Tyson, will
Yeah.
be able to meet the standards, which you've already conceded. Apparently you said something like you don't even see why it's even necessary. If you're going to overthrow a model that has such predictive power that we utilize to send satellites to different planets. There's Voyager, there's the Mars orbiter, there's something orbiting the moon, there's the Himrari 8. You want to somehow overthrow all that with no equations,
We gotta give
no predictions.
we gotta give
no.
him a chance to respond, because, like I said, you are taking up some of your time playing
Okay.
clips of his own words. So
Mm-hmm.
we do have quite a Q&A here as well. So that could help maybe steer us in some new direction if you guys wanted to maybe move in there.
Just think about how
Yeah,
insane
I'm
that
fine with
is.
Q&A.
So,
But
Ryan, think about how insane that is, that he hasn't answered one question. So, like, I have one simple question. It's actually about the debate. He's tried to bring up everything but that and then play clips. So this is really weird, but I will just help the audience, because there are people who actually want the truth, and there are people that just hate me and will pretend you won no matter what, and they really like when you gaslight and you do all these weird little tactics. But this is the epitome of bad faith, right? That's what you're demonstrating. But It is a fact that according to relativity, which is the currently accepted consensus of the heliocentric model, that there is kinematic equivalence of the Earth being at the center of the universe. This is just a well-known and established fact. To quote Einstein, I've come to the conclusion that no optical experiment can actually detect the motion of the Earth, the orbital motion of Earth, though the Earth moves around the sun. He also then went on to say that we've established that no terrestrial experiment can actually detect the motion of the Earth. Specifically, he said that's because of Michelson-Morley and subsequent measurements. And he said that this is well-known consensus within your position. Just to claim that I'm somehow unreliable or whatever, it doesn't matter. If I have to actually pull up special relativity and general relativity and his letters, I can do that. I will happily do that. But what's happened is every time I bring up sources that you claim I don't have and I just made up, you literally avoid it and just go past it like it didn't happen. So these are all little games.
All right.
And I
If-
want
if that's
the
how you
audience
feel,
wants
just-
to know if you have proof that the Earth moves around the sun. That's why we're here. Do you
So-
have actual measurement of the claimed 66,600 mile per hour orbit of the Earth?
So, just for the interest of, like you say, if you don't mind sharing that stuff, it might be a good idea to move into the, like some new territory if we can. If not, then it may be better just to move into Q&A because it does seem like we're
Q&A is fine
revisiting
with
the
me, so-
same
Yeah, I
cycle
mean,
here, and we're not really
yeah.
moving past this. So, unless, like I say, I do want to give Austin a chance if he wants to push us into some brand new territory that we haven't gotten to explore for our discussion tonight that maybe you wanted to touch on. It's totally up to you. You're on mute, What's it?
Sorry. Okay, I'll share this real
No
quick.
worries.
This is it's just I don't remember the exact location of the PDF or whatever. This is one of the equations showing actually this is based on his Ptolemy section of the paper. He says we now surround the test body with a spherical shell at rest. So he's literally talking about the Earth in the center position. This is him breaking down the Machian principle. Here's one of the mini equations. He breaks down there's it's analogous to Newton's second law of motion. He comes down here to explain, I just don't know exactly where it is. He comes down to show the exact equation using something akin to a Lorentz magnetic force. He also shows exactly the difference in Newtonian and relativistic kinematic and dynamic equivalences. You claim there was no model. This is one of many. And so I will pull up another one.
Well, before you go ahead, let's give Darryl a chance to respond if he would like to do so.
Surely. Here's the thing with it. You said that you can get 9.8 meters per second squared without taking into account gravity and the mass of the Earth, just from a kinematic equation separately from the mass of the Earth and gravity. Can you confirm that you said that?
You can use a kinematic equation. I didn't say that in this debate because that's not what this is about at all. But yes, of course, you can use a kinematic equation. You can use time, height, initial velocity of an object. This is well known, and you'll
But
get.
I'm saying you saying you can do it without having to worry about gravity, without having to worry about Newton's laws, the kinematic
Well, you don't seem
equation.
to know. You don't seem to know what gravity is, for starters. Secondly, you don't seem to know that 9.8 meters per second squared is just the quantified effect of the rate of fall. It isn't the claimed
Okay.
cause whatsoever. So that's completely
Okay.
irrelevant that objects fall at 9.8. You're claiming
No,
to
this
know
is the
why.
relevance.
And this is the elephant in the room. You're still like 7 steps behind, where I actually said if I were to grant you gravity, even Newtonian or Einsteinian, within both of those paradigms, if you actually understood them, which I do not believe that you do, you would know there is a kinematic and dynamic equivalence. I then cited multiple people, including Andre Assis, a mathematics professor that we're looking at right here. And then that is relational mechanics. There's also on Luka Popov, which he posed a Newtonian neo-Machian analysis of planetary motion of bodies, and that is in the European Journal of Physics. He shows the math, okay, and there are multiple other ones. So, but I don't have to make a specific claim about a model. You're claiming it's impossible. I show that's not true. So why is it that why is it you can't just address? It seems like it's a game to you or something. Do you agree, Einstein? Okay, do you think that relativity is true?
So I want to address your point. Give me a chance to address the first thing I was supposed to address, which will include that as well. I want to actually share my pad right now. right?
Sure thing. Let's pass
Let me
it
see
over.
if I can do that. One moment here.
Yeah, no worries. It's always fun when
Right.
we
So
can
parent
launch into some new territory.
here.
So
Now,
go
now,
ahead.
yeah. Now keep in mind, you just said that we don't have to worry about gravity and Newton. We could just use a kinematic equation because the gravity G is just the effect and so on and so forth. I'm going to show you and everyone else how wrong you are and why I don't trust what you say about relativity and things like this. Okay. So we know from Newton's laws that everybody can see this, right? We know that F equals ma. We also know that the force of gravity equals big G m over r squared, right? So this would be the force of gravity. This would be acceleration on the other side. Now we know that these two forces are going to equal. So we would have ma g m over r squared, right? The m's will cancel because we're talking about the mass of a certain object. And then what we have here is A equals G M, which is the mass of the Earth. Since we're talking about gravity on the Earth's surface, R squared is the radius of the planet. If we input these numbers, we get 9.8. Do you can see that, or do you want me to actually type the numbers in?
Of course, that's irrelevant.
Do you can see this, or do you need me to type in the numbers and show it on on the
Oh,
camera?
of course.
Matter of fact, I think I already typed it in. Let me just show
There's
it
no
on my
concession. There's no concession.
I'm leading to a point because I actually went through the numbers earlier just
It's
to
irrelevant.
make sure. But
Let's let him wrap up his point here.
this is the equation I just put in just now. If you could see that, maybe you can't see it. 9.8 meters per second squared when you put that in. Now, and that's going to be G. Now, you said you were a math whiz, and in school you did math and you could pass the test and not have to write the answers down. So why don't you tell me, how would you integrate this? What would be the proper way to integrate this?
No, dude, Ryan, why are you not moderate? Do you see that all the guy is doing is intentionally avoiding every single aspect of the actual debate and the subject, every point that I've made? He came here in complete bad faith, has played clips of me out of context, has tried to do anything but actually have a debate. And now he's like, hey, can you tell me how to do a math equation? Do you not see how this is
You could just say.
You know why I said
To
that?
be fair, you
desperate
can
attempt to somehow
just say
try
no,
to get a
but
gotcha on me because he couldn't even get close to discussing this conversation.
I'm getting to a point, but since you said that,
No,
I'm
you're
going to
not.
address
No,
that
you're
with
not.
this.
You just can't
Okay.
understand
No, you're
that.
not.
all right. I will give you
And
15
I
seconds to
literally
try to.
used to get accused
Oh.
of cheating
Oh no.
in my algebra
Look
honors
what he's
class,
doing.
right? Because I wouldn't show my
That's
work
why I
to
said
people.
that. You said you used to pass all the tests, but we showed you can't
What
do
does
it.
that
You
have to do
can't do
with
this
the
integral.
debate,
Let me keep
Darryl?
going. You can't do it. I'm gonna keep
What does
going.
that have to do
You
with the
said you
debate,
in
Darryl?
school and you're a math whiz and you can do it, but I showed you can't.
So,
Now, I'm going to show people how to do the integral, and I'm going to show you where kinematic equations come
dude,
from and
I'm
how
about
wrong
to
you
leave,
are.
All right,
Ryan. I'm just going to
let's-
let
You
you know.
can't do
All right,
it. Let me finish
before
addressing.
before
let
like
me
I said,
He's
finish
I
acting
think
like
addressing
a
your point.
child,
Hold
and
on
we're
a
just
second.
going to
Let
sit
me
here and
finish
pretend
addressing-
he
1
gets
second
to...
there, Darryl. I just put him on mute, but it's yeah. So what's going on with it? What are you feeling? Do you want a
What do
chance
you mean
to
what's going?
respond,
You're
or would
sitting
you like?
here. It's obvious what's going on. This guy is literally just being a joke at this point. He is trying to operate 100% in bad faith. So what does this have to do with the debate? Nothing. He's still playing clips of me out of context to try to get some gotcha or make me look bad about something. Nothing to do with the debate. What? So, well, I don't know why this does. How is this not weird, Ryan?
Well, I think if
I've been extremely patient. He's played 7 clips of me.
well, as I say, by your own opinion, and I'm not going to tell you exactly how I feel about it, but if it's bad optics, then that's going to play out in the long.
Yeah, but the
term,
point is that
right?
it's just
So-
I don't have to just sit, like I didn't just come here to just sit here and listen to the guy constantly play clips of me. Like
That is fair. I would ask Darryl if you can refrain from playing any more clips of Witsit. He's here now. He's going to talk to you. There's other spaces we can go and make commentary on clips that people have discussed. But I do think that I do think it has been tolerated to the point here. It's not. It's obviously not something that's. Witsit's enamored by here, so let's just try to.
I mean, anyone that watches this and would be like, "Oh yeah, Darryl, get him," or "Witsit, stop crying," like they're just also in bad. I don't care about that. I tried to come here in good faith. I've asked the questions multiple times. Do you have actual evidence that the Earth is orbiting around the sun? Can we detect or measure it? I've consistently provided the evidence. You've tried to get gotchas. You've constantly played clips of me. You've constantly ducked my questions, but asked me questions. I answer your questions. I showed you were wrong about Neptune, showed you were wrong about Newton, showed you were wrong about Einstein, showed you were wrong about all of your claims, and you're not addressing the single question I have. So do you not see why that would be frustrating? Like, you don't have any juice over me. You're not superior to me. You don't get to come and just dismiss anything I say with ad homs and then continue to try to pepper me with gotcha attempts. It's just disrespectful. I've been patient and sat through it for quite a while now. So I'm not just going to continue to do it.
All right.
Like this is the only scenario where this guy gets to act like he can somehow denigrate me like that.
I think yeah, your request to not play clips of yourself is fair. I think it's just not coming across
Come on,
very
play
well.
anymore.
So, I would ask that just as a courtesy, since it's not being appreciated on this end. Of course, we're hearing that, so I think that's just a sign of respect. So if you can explain to us, Darryl, what we have here in front of us, and then I think maybe I should go with my best instinct and move into that Q&A to try to push us into some new territory. And thank you, Witsit. Like I said, I'm sorry if you're feeling frustrated. That's definitely not what I want for you. So,
But I'm just saying, anyone that watches it knows what he's doing. So there's this unspoken thing that if it's a flat earther, you can just do whatever to him, right? You can just, and that's not actually correct. I didn't have to take this debate with you, Darryl. I tried to come here and knowing it would probably be bad faith, and it's whatever. We don't have to keep talking about it. We don't have to keep talking about the meta.
no worries.
Obviously, we can't have the discussion about the actual evidence. He doesn't know how to address any of it.
Well,
that's why he's like desperately trying to discredit me with clips of things I've said, and it's just weird.
All right. Well, yeah. Let's try to move. Like I say, past this. If we can explain to the audience what we have here in front of us, Darryl, and then we'll give you a chance to respond to what he's presenting here.
What I've shown is Witsit is wrong. This is a kinematic equation, which is actually an integration of gravity based on Newton's laws. This is a kinematic equation, which is the integration of the first equation. I showed you wrong. When you use the kinematic equations, you're not avoiding gravity. It's not some kind of output. The reason why gravity outputs, if you find the proper time and the proper distances and the proper speed, is because it was derived from gravity in the first place. You're wrong. So I'm not going to listen to you tell me this is what your model says. This is what
You
relativity
dropped
means,
the mass
you
out.
have no
Wait.
idea.
Did you drop
This
the?
is my
Did you drop
time.
mass
You're
out?
cutting me off now. You're cutting me off now.
You
The
dropped
reason
your
why
own
I'm not gonna
dynamic
listen to you
claimed
when you
cause
tell
out of
me-
your equation.
The
You
reason why
proved
I'm
my
not going to
point.
listen to you when you tell me this is what relativity does, and this is what your model says, and you can't even understand this basic equation. You didn't even know that this is where the kinematic equations come from, and I'm going to believe you understand the equations in that paper you showed me? No. And that's all I have to say.
Cool. Now I get to destroy you. So literally what you did was show and prove my point, which I already said, that literally Newtonian dynamic equations are basically reverse engineered from Kepler, and he just placed the M inside of it, placed the mass. You just showed that you removed it. You removed your own dynamic claim, showing that it actually boils down to simply a kinematics, which is just seeing how things move and based on their periodicity, writing out the ratio, not the claimed cause of gravity whatsoever. You proved my point. Right there, you prove my point, and I will now show what I was actually talking about, which is a kinematic equation showing how you can easily get the 9.8 meters per second squared, and you don't need anything to do with gravity that you believe
Let's see
in.
that.
So
Let's
here's
see
a
that.
simplified kinematic equation when the initial velocity is 0. So you have height equals 1/2 at2, solving for acceleration, a equals 2h over t squared. Sample values, example 1. Here you go. You have 10 meters, 1.43 seconds. Using the equation to solve for a, you get 9.78 meters per second squared. This is it's a simple kinematic equation. So objectively, you can get 9.8 meters per second squared based, because that's just an effect. It's just how fast things typically fall. Okay. No one's disputing that. We're disputing the claimed cause. Your own equation showed that you actually had to remove the dynamic cause, which is supposedly mass, out of the equation. How does that help you?
All you've done with it. Let me share my screen so I can I mean, it's amazing that you're still harping on this after I've already showed that you're wrong. All you've done is you've taken this kinematic equation that I just showed, that it directly comes from Newton's laws, You just took this kinematic equation, and what happens is if you pick a position where it's not moving, so velocity is zero, you put a zero for velocity, and that goes away. And let's say the reference point that you pick, you call that point zero. So that becomes zero. And then you get the thing that you just had, which was h equals 1/2, and it just had an a instead of g, t, and I forgot to put my square there, squared. All this is an integral of gravity. So the thing that you think is some kind of separate kinematic equation that's not dealing with gravity, this is what you're using ignorantly without knowing what you're doing. So, so of course I'm not going to listen to you when you tell me something else is. I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous. I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous that you think you can overthrow heliocentrism when you don't even realize you didn't even recognize that this is the equation that you were using.
Dude, that's my whole
I mean,
argument, Darryl. So you don't get it. This is embarrassing, but I'm going to help you here. Okay, you just had to remove the supposed dynamic cause from your own equation, meaning all you're left with is kinematics. That's the whole point. Kinematics is just how objects move in relation to others. For example, quantifying how fast something falls. That has nothing to do with the supposed cause being mass. So you thought you had some gotcha that you could turn that equation into a kinematic equation. And literally that was my point that completely backfired, which shows that you actually have to cancel out the claimed cause, mass, and it just results in a kinematic equation. And that's literally what my whole point was. And all of this is a red herring and a deflection away from the actual point, which is that you can't even provide any type of evidence of actual measurement of the Earth orbiting the sun whatsoever. You didn't acknowledge that parallax and stellar aberration and retrograde, which you all invoked, are not in any way exclusive to heliocentrism. There's a kinematic equivalence. You didn't address that I showed the dynamic equivalence with multiple equations. You didn't address that even Newton said that using gravity, his gravity, that it could actually be in the center. You didn't address what Einstein actually said. You didn't address Michelson-Morley in the error margin, which I predicted in the opener you wouldn't even get close to touching. So you have done nothing but try to get a gotcha. Your big gotcha right there completely backfired. It showed that you had to remove and cancel out your own claimed dynamic mechanism, which is mass, to just end up getting a kinematics, which of course, if you knew how it was created, you would know that's of course what's going to happen, because that's what Newton did, took Kepler's kinematics and then just threw an M in there and said, I think it must be God doing it.
Well, let's pass the ball.
I actually have the equations from my actual book right here. So these are the kinematic equations. If you get this book, Physics for Scientists and Engineers, you'll see that the kinematic equations I have are the same thing here. I'll go back to my screen. I was rushing, so I forgot to write a 2 there. But going back to so take a look at those equations. If you go to Physics for Scientists and Engineers, those are the kinematic equations. That's what they're called. If you look at the first, at the 216, that's I'll actually write the numbers next to the ones on my page when we go back. I'll write 216 by the 216 one, and I'll write 213 by the 213 one. So let me stop sharing my screen on my laptop, on my laptop, and go back to my pad. And you can see that these are the kinematic equations that you'll find on any online site, including the one that he pulled up himself. He just put 0 in for velocity. You can see that these are the same equations. 213 was the first kinematic equation, and 216 was the second. If you actually put this in any calculator that knows how to do integrals, since Whitson wasn't able to, and you actually take the integral of these things, you'll see that that's what you get. You're wrong.
You literally prove my point again, which is that your claimed support for the alleged dynamic claim, I'm starting to think you don't know what dynamic and kinematic means and what the difference is. But you're claiming a dynamic cause, mass attracting massive force. That's archaic in your own paradigm anyway. You had to cancel out the actual causal mechanism of your dynamic claim, and then you end up just being left with a kinematic equation, which was my entire point. Yet your point was actually invoking that alleged dynamic causal mechanism to prove your position. Yet you showed math that literally eliminated it and proved my point. And again, let's see if you can actually answer this question. Do you have any, or do you concede that within your paradigm, it is admitted that you could never actually detect, measure, and verify via direct measurement that the Earth orbits the sun from the earth, that you can never do it. It's never been done.
Right. So I'll address all of those in order. First of all, if you take a feather and a bowling ball and put them in a vacuum chamber, I'm sure you know that they fall at the same pace. And you can see that they fall at the same pace.
Relatively speaking, there's not really that many times that's been done, but it's pretty close, yeah.
Okay. That's why mass cancels in the equation, because everything falls at the same pace in the gravitational field. Therefore, that's where the kinematic equations come from. Secondly, I've already shown that you're a shotgun driver. You can't understand basic integration. You didn't understand that the kinematic equations were actually integrations of Newton's laws. So I'm not going to believe you when you tell me this is what your model says. Done. I'm ready for a question and answer.
All right, I think it would be a good
Okay,
idea.
let me just rebut that.
Right quick, if you don't mind there, Austin.
So, dude, you have it backwards. You're saying I didn't know that one came from the other. That was my whole point. I said it very clearly. I hope you watch this back, and I hope that the audience caught it. I said that even in its origin, Newton simply took Kepler's kinematic equations, which are just looking at how things move in the sky and their periodicity, and then actually mapping out the ratio of motion, kinematics. He took that and then just replaced a variable with m. He just added m into the kinematics. That's why it just cancels out and you're left with kinematics, because that's fundamentally all that it actually is kinematics, which means it doesn't in any way verify any dynamic claim. To even get the actual solution, you have to remove the dynamic claim, which is mass, which is the supposed causal mechanism. And I'll just tell the audience, since he won't answer it, it is objectively the case that due to Michelson-Morley, Dayton-Miller, and subsequent replications that within the current heliocentric model, it is conceded, and in fact, fundamental, that you can never actually detect or measure the Earth moving around the Earth, Earth moving around the sun, because of relativity, and specifically that time slows down and distances contract, meaning they have no evidence. It's unfalsifiable, begging the question, and they can't actually verify their own claim.
All right. Well, thank you so much to both of our speakers, Darryl and Witsit, for being here. A couple of people are upset in the live chat that I seem to come off as a kind person. Oh, it's so offensive to some. But honestly, my job here is to try to keep it real, essentially, and give you an experience of what it would be like to have these two people in a room. But if somebody makes a request and they ask something of me specifically, that is why I'm here. So don't kid yourself in the live audience with your hero worship tonight. LJ, why can't... This is going into Q&A. LJ is usual here with these types of conversations. So he says, why can't we isolate / measure or control gravity? It's for you, Darryl.
So why can't we what?
He says, why can't we isolate, measure, and control gravity?
I guess I would need him to provide the evidence that we can't do that. That's contrary to my experience as a budding physicist. So let him, maybe in his next chat, he could present the evidence or reference to whatever evidence that shows we can't do that.
Any thoughts on the other side before we move on? Nope, not feeling it. All right, no worries there. What's it? Let's see.
Sorry, no, there you can't actually do it whatsoever. They typically he didn't even know he's invoking the archaic mass attracting mass anyway. But the answer is no. Literally, the claim is, oh, we need it, so it must be there. And every time that they make one up, it doesn't work, and then they just shuck and jive to another one. So, the answer is no. Of course, you cannot actually verify isolate it because it doesn't actually exist as is claimed.
All right, closing thoughts over there, Darryl.
Said all I need to say.
Do you have any closing thoughts on this one before we
Oh,
move
no,
on?
I said all I need to say.
All
I'm
right.
good.
No worries. Zihoe is coming in and says, how come I can let go of a helium balloon and it doesn't get sucked down to Earth due to gravity? Is it gravity proof?
Okay, well, I mean, that sounds like a reasonable enough question, I guess. So basically we have something called buoyancy, where the gravity is pulling down on the helium and it's pulling down on the surrounding air. But basically the surrounding air sort of bunches down and pushes the balloon up. So ironically, buoyancy is only happening because of gravity. So can't say I'm an expert on buoyancy. That's not really my focus, but that's my general understanding. But just go get like a physics book. Don't believe what truckers and drivers tell you about that. Go get a physics book and learn about buoyancy. But again, that's not my specialty, but that's my rough answer.
All right. Let's see here. Yeah, any thoughts on the other side before we move on there, Austin?
No, I mean, everything's intrinsically electric, dude. Their whole belief is just a fairy tale.
You said no, and then you said something, but I'm going to carry on anyway. All right.
Touche.
Heracles says, Witsit, explain how cosmic background our CMB readings confirm geocentrism.
Yeah. So according to the current
I was reading that
Big
wrong.
Bang
Sorry.
cosmology, the energy distribution should have been homogeneous, evenly distributed, and it should have been anisotropic, so it had no preferred direction. It's just all evenly distributed. And of course, they say there's no center, but everything started in a singularity, whatever. Long story short, they actually did see that it was inhomogeneous and anisotropic. It should have or isotropic, and so it had a preferred direction. And coincidentally, that preferred direction directly correlated to the Earth, specifically the part that was no longer smooth and homogeneous. Was at a 23.4 degree axis, which they claim is the Earth tilted as it's wobbling and rotating. But that relationship was seen far beyond the alleged local scale of the quote unquote solar system, proving it couldn't be the Earth tilted. Because if you think about it, if you're tilted on the Earth and you're looking into space, sure, it would make the sun look like it's at a certain angle, right? Because it's close to you. As you zoom way out and everything's moving on its own with its own quote unquote gravity, the little tilt of the Earth wouldn't affect the energy distribution you see, but it did. Still, there has never been even an academic answer for that, other than it must be incorrect.
All right. Any thoughts on the other side there, Darryl, before we move on?
Oh, nope. We can keep going.
All right, awesome. Well, thank you to both of our speakers for jumping into the Q&A and answering our audience's questions. So yes, right now we are answering your questions live on Modern Day Debate. If you have a question, get it into a super chat. We have lots of them to go, so it's right of our speakers to keep us moving along here. If you haven't already hit the smash the like button. If I said it backwards, it would be really awkward, actually. I've realized that. So, yeah, smash the like button if you haven't already. LJ asks another question. Thank you so much, LJ. If you dig straight down, will you come out upside down?
That's actually a pretty interesting question. In my classical dynamics class, we had to actually solve a problem where we imagined that there was a object that we dropped through the center of the Earth and came out the other side. And the way it works is as you fall through the center of the Earth, the way gravity works is you'll be pretty much attracted by only the mass that's within the center of a sphere, starting at the radius you're at. So the effect of gravity will be less and less and less. And as you get through the center of the Earth, the center would then be where you left from. So gravity would be pulling from the other direction. So technically, if you did not spin yourself, if you didn't like do a somersault while you were falling, you would come out feet first, but gravity would still be pulling you the other way. And what we found was that if you did that, you would actually, it ends up being a analog of simple harmonic motion. So if you was able to drill a hole through the center of the Earth and drop something in there, it'll just go back and forth like a pendulum.
Okay.
So yeah.
All right, go ahead and respond if you'd like there, Austin.
No, I mean, no.
Nah.
The Earth's not a sphere, so no.
Not feeling it. All right, let's carry on. I will let our audience know as well that I'm going to close the poll right quick. We had 895 votes. Actually, all right, I'll leave it for 5. All right, let's try to get a nice clean 900 votes. Right now we're sitting at 42% are saying the Earth sure is the center of the universe. 50% is saying not a chance. And then 8% of you said, I don't know most things. These are the people that do miss their mouth with a fork. So let's carry on, and I'll close that shortly. Once I close it, though, if we can get up to, let's say, 400 likes, since we can get so many votes on our poll, maybe I'll open up a really spicy poll for you guys to comment on. All right, let's carry on with our Q&A. Thanks again to our speakers and the live chat for this lively discussion. All right, a true creation says, when will the axis of evil be addressed? What are you
Nah,
talking about? What's going on here?
yes,
Can you
that's what I
help
was
me?
going to ask. What is the axis of evil? Yeah.
I mean, I guess it's for you, right? But again, the axis of evil was based on the cosmic microwave background, showing that it actually was inhomogeneous isotropic distribution, that the preferred direction was the Earth. And again, you'll never get any rebuttal to the non-locality of the 23.4 degree tilt, because it can't be explained based on their model. It actually disproves it fundamentally. But the axis of evil is basically the correlation to the Earth and the actual distribution of the energy that was unexpected. And then it was like, oh, it must be a mistake. And then they went and did it again. Oh, it must be a mistake. And they went and did it again. And like, oh, must be a mistake. So yeah, whatever. It's kind of interesting that they called it axis of evil, and they claim to be scientists. And it was called that because it went in the face of the Copernican principle or heliocentric model.
All right. LJ asks, you don't have to answer this if you don't want to, but he says, Darryl, why is your background CGI and not a real photo? Now, if I know anything about LJ, he may be making a commentary on some of his previous comments to say that they're not taking real photos of certain events. So I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt and say that that's probably where you're going, but if you want to tell people what's in the background, you go for it.
I've had that picture for so long. I don't even remember if it's a real picture or not. I guess uh, I would just operate from the. You saying he's trying to say that all the pictures are fake? I mean, what is it?
Well, I will say I think LJ has brought that up in the past, so I'm just giving the benefit of the doubt that he's
Okay.
probably
So
leaning that way.
if
Yes.
you remember, Ryan, the last time I was on here, somebody sent such a question. Do you remember my response to that person?
I don't remember most.
What I
Ryan,
said was
Ryan, can I be right back in just a second? Like, say,
oh,
can you read the next one
Absolutely.
to him?
Yeah.
Okay, just a couple minutes.
Well,
Absolutely, buddy. Don't worry. Yeah, take a break
yeah,
if you need to, but I do not remember your response. I am
yeah.
so sorry, Darryl.
No problem.
Go ahead.
And I'll tell you why you don't remember. I know why. What I said was,
Uh-oh.
I've heard people say that the pictures are fake, but I've never seen anyone give evidence. So I said, this is what you can do. Contact MDD with your evidence that the pictures are fake. Let them know, and I'll come on and we'll talk about it. Let me ask you, how many people did that?
I don't think I don't think the best idea would be to disclose what's going on in the emails of modern day debate
Oh,
or
okay.
my own emails, but there's a lot of stuff going on.
Okay.
You might be surprised, honestly, some of the emails we do get from certain individuals, but whether you would find certain people compelling or not is going to be a different question when we get them here. That's kind of the whole point, is we try to find people that aren't going to necessarily agree on these issues. So I'm going to push into just some quick housekeeping and just say, hello, everybody, and welcome to Modern Day Debate. We welcome you all here. We hope you're having fun. I hope so anyways. We are a neutral space hosting debates on science, politics, religion, you name it. We hope you feel welcome once again. And we're in our Q&A right now. I'm going to close this poll. We're closing in on 941. You guys are really just messing with how I wanted to get that on an even number. Let's close out the poll. Let's see, 942 votes. We got 50% say it's not a chance. Not a chance that it's in the center. 42% say it sure is. And then 7% say I don't know most things. So yeah, if we can get up to, did I say 400 before? Let's say 500 likes. Since there's almost 1,000 people participating in the poll, we'll do a really silly poll to close this out and have some fun with it. So let's carry on. If you wanted to step out as well, Darryl, grab yourself a drink.
No, I'm good.
I feel like I missed my courtesy to offer you guys a break. So yeah, feel free if you need to step out for any reason.
By the way, not a chance is a crazy position I guess that was their only option, but because the current model literally says that you have to agree that there's a chance. It's called relativity. So like literally relativity's fundamental claim is that all motion's relative. You can never tell what is moving. So the earth moving around the sun or the sun moving around the earth is equivalent.
I didn't give them many options. I'm not gonna
No,
lie.
I know.
But,
I'm just pointing it out for the audience.
but yeah, I did make sure that you were either falling on either side of that fence. I think on that or the like I say, I don't know most things. We had what 7% for that. So let's carry on. Smash the like button if you know how, and if you don't know how, then I can't help you at this point. So commercial sound and video says Darryl is level curved.
Well, I can't say I'm an expert on that. I can say I've seen people show books of like surveying books where, in definitions where they know that the level is, what do you say, congruent with the Earth's surface. So level would be level with the Earth's surface at any point, I guess you can say, which because the Earth is a sphere, it would be curved in that sense. Just be talking about like shape of the Earth type stuff.
Any response on the other side? You want to carry on?
Oh, you're good.
All right, Mr. Spencer says, which strain of weed should I smoke for this Witsit guy to make any sense? Well, aren't you making friends tonight, Mr. Spencer? You're probably not making friends, but we appreciate your.
You know what I find super funny,
contributions.
bro, is that what I find super funny is like everything I've said in this debate is literally a fact, and it's just been me having to teach the other side what their own belief is, and never was any of the information directly engaged with. And for example, like right then, someone in the chat's like, "That's not what relativity says." Like I basically just quoted Einstein verbatim, explaining like he said that the debate back in the day between Copernicus and Ptolemy, which is the idea that the Earth moves around the sun or that the Earth is in the center, would have been quite meaningless because the two statements, the sun moves around the Earth, that the Earth moves around the sun, are equally valid. They're nothing more than a coordinate system preference. That's basically a verbatim quote from Einstein. If you even understand the fundamentals of what relativity means, then you would know that. I find it all very interesting.
Well, I was going to say, Austin, all they wanted to know was whether they should have sativa or indica. I always recommend sativa if you want to stay awake for a
Well,
debate.
but obviously it was like a jab that I don't make sense. But I'm saying if what I said in this debate didn't make sense, then you've yet to even come aware of the fact that your own belief doesn't make sense.
Yeah, whatever you're smoking is not helping you understand, I think is what Austin's trying to say. So let's just carry on. I'm just making jokes. Don't worry about it. Alejandro Valhero says, so has Witless... Stop that.
It's fine. It's fine, bro. It's fine.
Sorry about that. Yeah, it's just how they put it. Thanks, Alejandro. Well, you guys aren't making friends tonight. So has Witsit finally admitted the globe is an Earth. After all, an infinite plane can't be geocentric by definition.
Yeah. So the globe is an Earth. That was the question.
I feel bad
Okay,
for saying
yeah.
that. I'm so
This-
sorry.
the-
The first part.
Yeah, but this conversation has nothing to do with the shape of the Earth. This is about if the Earth is in the center or not. It isn't exclusive to any shape. And what always happens is people have to start trying to take in random gotcha jabs at flat Earth, which is not even a proper way to debate flat Earth. You know, they don't even understand that like falsifications independent of replacement, positive claims have the burden of proof. So some random like, how's the whole universe work? Gotcha, stupid flurf, deflection away from. Anyway, point is, not only is that improper in debating flat Earth, it is totally irrelevant to this. And what I found is almost no one that goes against this side can actually separate the two and have an intellectually honest discussion about if the Earth is moving or not. And I'll take that time to plug. You should watch The Principle, and you should watch the documentary Heliosorcery. And at the least, you should be informed of your position. You may be surprised where it came from and what exactly it is. Okay, cool.
Cool. Yeah. If you had any thoughts over there, Darryl, or we can just, like I say, press on from here.
Oh yeah, we keep going.
All right. Thank you for your super chat there, Alejandro. And anybody else who puts in a super chat, we really appreciate it. We have DebateCon coming up here. Once again, it's going to be a live in-person event. We're going to be in New Jersey this time, so you're not going to want to miss that. Just keep an eye out for when we put up those notifications for the events. So Kango44 says, Witsit, we have put telescopes at language points in space. That means the Earth is not at the center of the universe. Please, 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 please read a book, they say.
Totally irrelevant. First of all, I don't believe all the claims of governmental agencies and where they put things, but even if they did, it isn't exclusive to heliocentrism. This shows another fundamental lack of understanding of what you believe. And they don't even use it's not actually the heliocentric model, it's the barycentric model, right? It's the barycentric, and they never use those equations for almost anything. And then someone will go find this one little like transform, and they'll be like, oh, see, they did change it to it at the last minute in this one. It's like, okay, they used ECF geocentric coordinates for all of it. Most people don't even know the heliocentric model is just an ignorant term. It's not even a real thing anymore. But anyway, no, that isn't exclusive. It's very simple. Kinematic equivalence. And I don't just like believe stories from the government. Let's call it like it is. Like, we didn't go to the moon. The government constantly lies. You may believe that they don't, even if you think that their stories are true about going to space. None of it would prove that the Earth is orbiting the sun. And you would know that if you understood relativity.
All right. Chance to rebut there, Darryl, before we move on.
I think I've shown that it's quite dubious to think that Witsit understands relativity. That's my only response.
All right. Last word over there, Austin, before we carry.
No, I think it's funny that, like, yeah, he can't engage with any of the actual points. His whole entire tactic here was to try to discredit me with random, like, out of context. Like, okay, well, that's poisoning the well, ad hom stereotype, genetic fallacies, credentials fallacy. Like, these are terribly fallacious and irrelevant. Predominantly ad homs, of course, right? So
I noticed that when I quote you, then it's out of context. But when you quote Einstein, for some reason, it's a verbatim quote. That's called shucking and driving because it's not consistent according to you.
Okay.
No, that's incorrect because let me explain the difference here. I didn't cherry pick any of Einstein because if you read it in context, it will mean exactly what it is I invoked it to mean and to say. Cherry picking is when you take it out of context and present it as meaning something that it doesn't. That's exactly what you did. You took it out of context and made multiple straw man arguments. Then I corrected them and you just avoided them and moved on to your next little clip. But it doesn't matter. Everyone can go research it themselves. You never even clarified your position. You never even clarified your position if you were disagreeing or agreeing with the stuff I said. You just said I shouldn't be believed, and I haven't shown it yet. It's like, do you disagree that Einstein said that there's a kinematic equivalence with geocentrism? Do you disagree that he said that you could never actually detect it with an optical experiment or terrestrial experiment? You're scared to even engage with the point at all and articulate disagreement or agreement. It's literally your only tactic is to try to take shots at me, appeal to emotion, and discredit me personally. And that's a pretty low bar, So I encourage you to do better.
I'm not interested in trying to respond to a quote you took out of context and math and science you don't understand and trying to say is mine. So yeah.
Give one specific example of me taking someone out of context.
All of them, just like how you said I took yours out of context. Right?
Give one specific example.
What's good for the goose is good for the gander. All of them, right? That's the way it works.
It's all
right?
of them. You should definitely be able to name one.
If somebody makes a quote that you don't agree with, it's out of context, right? So that means all of yours is out of context, right?
So if all of them that I've ever invoked are out of context, you should definitely be able to name one.
All of them.
All right.
I'm
pushing this forward, guys.
Let me say something. Right. No, this is important because this dude disrespected me for an hour and I sat here. I'm going to point this out. This is important. Like, this is like when people say word salad. When I articulate something with substantive specificity, I maybe speed it up a bit. It's over their heads. They call it word salad. I'm like, can you name specifically what I said that's word salad? They say, everything you ever say. And they can never name something because they know if they do, we then get to go through the phrase and show how it's just that they have inept vocabulary skills. Same thing here. He will not invoke any specific quote I brought up tonight, right? Because he knows he's going to get completely embarrassed if he actually did that. So these are really dishonest tactics.
You're just giving me flashbacks to that time when we had the speaker that was eating lettuce on screen.
That's like the new thing: salad dressing and lettuce. Yeah,
Oh,
I'm thinking
no.
about starting my. I'm gonna launch a salad dressing, Ryan. It's gonna be what's its word salad dressing.
Oh yeah, is it gonna be spicy or is it just gonna be like?
Maybe have some variations. Yeah, I like a little kick, all organic. Yeah.
All right. All right. The Science of Science says, I guess Darryl has showed up and decided not to debate the subject of the debate. So the Science of Science doesn't seem too impressed with the, I guess, how this unfolded. So yeah, if you want to talk to Science of Science,
Certainly.
go for it.
Certainly. It's at least he's consistent with this approach where I gave my presentation, and then he said answer the question, and I went through the presentation again. My whole presentation was the evidence that the Earth revolves around the sun, and that the planets revolve around the sun, just like how the stars go around the center of the galaxy, and so on and so forth. So, if it is not clear to you, perhaps pick up a physics book and see if you can work through it. Do some experiments with mass and confirm that gravity is a thing like we have to do to get a physics degree. So I've already tested gravity and know that it works. So just maybe look into it. I mean, you sound sincere, so just look into it.
All right. Any thoughts
So
on your
I
side?
directly refuted the claim that gravity proves or disproves geocentrism by granting gravity, whether it be Newton or Einstein, and showing that with either of them, it doesn't disprove geocentrism. You didn't provide any exclusive evidence that the Earth moves around the sun. And the question I actually asked was, do you concede you can't physically measure and detect it like your paradigm claims? And you refused to engage with that. So you didn't provide any exclusive evidence whatsoever. And you also, I had to correct you on Newton. You didn't even know he said the Earth could be geocentric. You didn't know he said the universe could be geocentric. You invoked a guy that made my point in your opener.
All right. Final thoughts there, Darryl.
Yeah. Well. Again, I addressed all that in my opening, and I'm not going to believe what you tell me my model is. I'm not going to believe what you tell me Newton or whoever said. I've already showed checking driving, not understanding integration, and so on and so forth.
Oh, Mona fella.
So yeah.
You're up and running.
Is it
Yeah,
it's up?
so-
Okay, so here's Newton saying it since, in order for the Earth to be at rest in the center of the system of the sun, planets, and comets, there is required both universal gravity and another force in addition that acts on all bodies equally according to the quantity of matter in each of them and is equal and opposite to the accelerative gravity with which the Earth tends to the sun. And thus, celestial bodies can move around the Earth at rest as in the Tychonic system. That's Isaac Newton in Principia Proposition 43, Theorem 22, which was removed from final publication and then later found and published by a university.
Do you acknowledge then that all the quotes I put out for you were in context and appropriate?
What's up? What could be out of context about this quote?
No.
We'll
Do you
give,
concede then
we'll
that
give the
all the
last
clips I
word
played of you
to Darryl,
are
if you
in
wanna
context and
end the screen
appropriate?
share.
They were out of you were misrepresenting my quotes. Yeah.
Okay, then. So I'm not going to accept your quotes. Next question.
All right, we'll end the screen
Okay,
share and we'll
the audience sees he's literally just dismissing Newton's own words in his Principia, which is where he proposed gravity.
All right. Let's end the screen share. We're gonna move into the next question. I'm ready when you're ready to end it there. All right. Well, thank you to both of our speakers. It seems like we've managed to make a bit of a full circle on the overall tone of our debate, and that's kind of nice, right? You got to appreciate that. So, Truthful Purpose says the globies are drowning. Lol. All right. Well, thank you, Truthful Purpose. We appreciate you helping us out there. Once again, we have a live event coming up, so we need all the help we can get, and we appreciate everybody. Zehoe says, it's honestly weird you have a whole Widget soundboard to play out of context clips to try to dig up some weird baits that's irrelevant to heliocentrism.
Well, I mean, I mean, of course, I didn't play all the ones I have. I have even more than that. One of them I played was from the Sporting, if I recall. One of them was from Witsit's Horizon School and Globers. One was from a Discord that streams their stream, so I can get you that link. One was from the Veritas Flatline. So if you check out the Veritas Flatline, if you check out his debate with uh, uh, Professor Dave, if you check out his debate on the quartering with, I don't remember that guy's name, you'll see that all the quotes I played are his quotes that mean what I presented them to mean. And I'll find the link now for the. I don't know if you want me to put the link in chat, but I could put the link for the Discord one, since that might not be as easy to find, and you'll be able to see all the quotes I played are on point and mean what he says. But again, they prove him to be wrong when he has to stick to his own words. And so I knew he was going to change his words, so that's why I brought the quotes to show. I even brought the quote where he was 100%. If you look at the Professor Dave debate, he was clearly saying gravity is not a part of it. I showed him wrong, and then he tried to shuck and drive on that too. So,
All right, let's give him a chance to
there you
respond.
go.
Okay. You seem to miss the question. But what he pointed out was that it was weird that you had a whole soundboard of clips to play of me out of context, and none of them had anything to do with the actual subject of heliocentrism, and you used it as a tactic to actually avoid it. But anyway, I encourage everyone to go listen to the quotes. It's cool. I gave the true context of all of them. It wasn't really, you can listen to them and understand what I'm saying. It was that you came in to just make a whole different version of what I'm saying and strawmanned it. But it's okay, because what you got to do was expose that you're intentionally misrepresenting what I say, and that's intellectually dishonest, and that shows the weakness of your hand.
All right. Well, yeah, speaking of weakness of hand, I haven't seen that upsurge in hitting the like button. So if you haven't already, hit the smash button. If you're not going to take a shower and brush your teeth, like, our like button's the only thing you're smashing tonight. So you may as well go ahead and hit it. All right, let's carry on. Esteban Ilbaca says, the current eclipse prediction actually work centuries in advance, same as old cycles. Using new data is just to improve accuracy to the millisecond. We predict selenelians. When's the next one using flat Earth?
So we've already shown exactly how you can transform it using flat Earth. And of course, the important part here, as it is pertinent to this discussion, is that it literally uses a geocentric model. Literally, the predictions use a geocentric model. And you said that you can know, we just try to get it down to the millisecond. It's like, no, you're patently wrong. Okay. And all astronomers know that leading up to right when the eclipse is, you start making specific measurements of the moon, for example, to know when and where it'll actually be. Yeah, we knew down to the day thousands of years ago, and then we did that with a geocentric model. You know, even the Antikythera mechanism did it with the geocentric model. So I don't know what you guys think this is, but it's all good.
Any thoughts over there, Darryl, before we carry on?
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing the hubris of trying to just say that pointing out things from the direction of Earth is not the same as a heliocentric model. It's already been tried. If I remember right, it was something to do with difference and epicycles and all of these things that you tried to do to make a geocentric model work. I could look up the terminology to make sure I'm remembering it properly. But it's just that the geocentric model simply didn't work. If you want
What?
to,
It didn't work how? It didn't work how?
well, because one, it was very complicated. For two, it did not predict everything with enough accuracy. They had to start making upper cycles, because in other words, we have retrograde motion. Retrograde motion is not properly accounted for unless you start adding planets going around the Earth in small circles to account for the retrograde motion. But then that became
when
more
these
and
models
more complicated. That became more and more complicated as to try to get the timing down precisely. Whereas if you have the sun in the center, the retrograde motion is predicted precisely. So the idea that you don't have to have a model and have equations and so on and so forth is just amazing, and no one of any consequence is ever going to take you seriously. until you actually start meeting the standards that science meets when it overthrows a previous model. Just like how when, as I said earlier, Kepler came with an equation that we were able to use to not only predict the locations of then known planets, but to discover new planets. When Einstein came along, we were able to do things like predict a revolution of Mercury because it has a precession because it's so close to the sun, and things of that nature. So,
All right, we do have
And
to
there's
push
just
forward.
so much of that is wrong, and it's like, is it even? I mean,
people can look
precession
up
of Mercury
astronomy history
specifically
and see
didn't. The
for
precession of
themselves.
Mercury specifically didn't work with Newtonian gravity. Relativity tried to account for it because it was observed 4 decades before relativity was proposed. They still weren't able to fix it. They actually have different fixes to this day to add on top of relativity. It just made that the
5 seconds.
anomaly less pronounced. And again, the geocentric model works perfectly fine. In fact, my boy Shane won a $10,000 bet because he bet he couldn't predict the eclipse with a flatter geocentric model, and he did.
All right.
So it's
Let's
how
carry
it
on.
goes.
Matters Now is asking. Thanks again, Wits. I'm sorry for cutting you off. We've got so many super chats, so I don't want to hold you guys for.
Cool. Let's go through them fast.
Yeah, no worries. Matters Now says, Witsit, what's the IV and DV for Coulomb's law?
What's the IV and DV? I would just say that the DV would be attraction or repulsion, and then the IV would be the actual charge, of course. So
Right.
Coulomb's like it's not really a specifically coherent question, to be honest, but you have IV and DVs for specific experiments, not the descriptions of the phenomena based on a mathematical quantification. So it's kind of an incoherent question, but anyway.
All right, let's try to keep these to the side they're addressed to, I guess, to try to get through. We've got lots of great questions, and honestly, if you have a question that's like, say, multi-layered, then maybe we'll get into some weeds. But if it's just for one speaker, then we'll just try to keep it to one side for a little bit. The Science of Science says evidence for heliocentrism is clips of Austin out of context. Amazing. So the Science of Science is coming at you there, Darryl. I think this is the second time the Science of Science. Yeah, you're really not pleased with this tonight. So if you want to say anything to the Science of Science, feel free there, Darryl.
I would say just go to those sources I mentioned. The Professor Dave interview, the Veritas documentary, the quartering. If you want the link to the maybe to put a link in the chat if anybody wanted that link, because they could find the other ones. I mean, I don't want to like overstep it, but I can't put a link there. Just as I say, anybody can go and see, and they'll see that they're closer or accurate. The reason why, and I already answered this, the reason why I brought that up because I knew he was going to change what he said. And secondly, all he presented was his words. If all you present is your words, then the discussion becomes, can your word be taken at face value? I presented evidence that anybody can get a satellite, go look at the sun, anybody can go take spectra of the sun, anybody can experiment with gravity
5
and
seconds.
see that it works as it's supposed to work. So anybody can go out and verify my presence for themselves.
All right, well, let's carry on, and thank you again to everybody for their contributions, super chats. We really appreciate it. So let's carry into the next one. Ambient guitar music. I have a Strymon Night Sky, so I'm known for that. Ambient guitar music's my thing. And Darryl clearly struggled in this debate, says AGM. Oh my. So we'll just carry on. I don't think there's a whole lot to engage with there, but
No, I have a little brief.
if you feel like
I'm
that,
aware
sorry.
that there's a certain percentage of the population who, no matter what evidence you present, no matter how wrong you show which it is, they'll still believe it. So hopefully in the future, something will open his eyes. So that's all I have to say about that.
Projection. You didn't show me to be wrong on anything. You didn't even engage.
Last word, Darryl.
All good. Thanks.
All right, all's good. Well, thank you so much, guys. All's good over here. So Esteban El Baca says, the current eclipse prediction actually works centuries in advance, same as old cycles, using new data to improve. We've already read that one, actually. Sorry. I'm scrolling around, and every once in a while there are questions that are similar, so I've got to wonder. Let's see. Zahoe, even if the sun is a physical object, what does that have to do about if we revolve around it or not? How do we prove that? I think that one's for you there, Darryl.
Very good question. So basically what we can do is we can experiment with gravity locally, directly, and understand how gravity works. And then we could extrapolate that to larger scales and determine how things will behave at that level. The fact that we can make accurate predictions about things, for instance, at the solar system scale, demonstrates that our understanding of gravity is correct. And therefore, we orbit around the sun because the sun is so massive. The reason why I took spectra to show that it actually has matter in it is because some of the flat Earth delusions or geocentric delusions of the sun is electromagnetic or it's just a light source or things like that. But you can actually study the sun in a scientific way and confirm that it's actually matter. So it'll behave in a gravitational way, just like everything else, except it's so massive that it'll have a large gravitational field. So that's why it was relevant.
All right. I think we'll move on from there. That's I think maybe
That's
you
cool.
could.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
launching
that's
point.
fine. He's wrong about everything.
Couldn't help but get that in there. Well, thanks, Austin. All right, so Kango44 says, lol, run Witsit. Oh no, asked for a model! And exclamation points. So Kango44 is coming at you as per usual.
Let me address that though. Let me address that. They're going to consistently claim that there doesn't exist one when I quoted very specific ones. Luca Popov, Neo-Tychonian, Newtonian, Machian analysis of planetary motion of bodies. Luca Popov, European Journal of Physics. Andre Assis, Relational Mechanics, shows the dynamic equivalence of a geocentric model. He even uses a Lorentz magnetic force for the gravitational force that would be exerted by distant galaxies due to circular rotation. Angular momentum would keep the perpetual motion and create a dynamic equivalence. This is specifically modeling all phenomena of motion observed in the sky, not just the solar system, but all the way out. Okay. And ironically, it doesn't need dark matter and dark energy the way that your model does, because you can't even get the math to work outside of the solar system.
Right.
The irony is you don't have a model that you can actually use math and equations to predict things, because as soon as you step outside the solar system, it completely falls apart. You don't even, that's
let's wrap it
the
up.
most ironic part of the entire situation.
I got a follow up here. Thank you, Kango, for your super chat. We appreciate it. Paul Brasfield says, Witsit, you got the courage to tell the class who the they is you're always talking about.
I just want to be respectful to the channel. There's a powerful group of people that seem to have predominantly overrepresentation, some ethnic preferences, and lots of control over our country. I don't. It's just there's an entire group, but it does seem to be dominated by specific overrepresentation. But put it together, man. What foreign state feels that they control our country?
Oh man, what's it? Well,
Trying to get us in trouble.
You don't get us in trouble this evening, but you say you don't want to debate these things, but I can see it in your face. I know we were talking before the show.
I feel like they're
having
so
these debates,
so simple and obvious that it's like, I don't even know like how someone could go against it, and would it be worthy of debate, you know?
You totally want to, though. I know you do. So
maybe just to wake people up that don't know about it. That's maybe why, yeah.
No worries. Let's see. I'm sorry to keep you waiting there, Darryl. We got a couple more questions for Witsit here. We'll try to move through. Maybe give you a chance to respond to this one here. The globe model was literally made after observing the consistent night sky on our flat, non-rotating Earth. So yes, the globe model, in quotes, is accurate because it's based on our predictable, simple Earth. This one's for you already, so go ahead there, Darryl.
I mean, I don't even know where to go with that. The globe model is based upon the flat observations on the flat Earth. I mean,
well, they say after observing the consistent night sky on our flat, non-rotating Earth. So yes, the globe model is accurate because it's based on our predictable, simple Earth. The first part's, yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah, I don't even. We could just go on. Yeah, I don't even know what to say about that.
What's it? If you maybe can help clarify. If not, Zahoe, you can maybe put that in the chat.
Yeah, that the globe Earth was literally created over many hundreds of years, certainly the heliocentric model, by looking at the repetitive cycle that consistently happens in the sky. So it's a periodic cycle, right? They took those observations and slowly over time started reverse engineering a globe model, right? And then for people to come around in 2024 and be like, hey, look, I know the globe model's true because it matches the sky is incredibly ignorant because that's literally how it was created. And it took a long time and it kept being wrong. They had to keep adding wobbles and twists and all kinds of. So that's his point. It was literally originally derived from the sky. To claim the fact that it matches the sky somehow proves it is fundamentally fallacious and ignorant.
Okay, thanks for sharing.
I got you, brother. I like to actually engage with the points. Oh, Ryan, I didn't realize he stepped away. So,
Yeah.
dude, Darryl, this is the crazy part, man, right? I get you're a little out of your depth here, apparently. I don't know. But like I mean, I don't mean that disrespectful, but I'm curious, bro. Like you could level with me in some good faith, right? So when I say like you concede that in your own paradigm, like you can't actually measure the earth, like that's what it says. It says that because motion is relative and we're on the earth and it's free falling in a geodesic path of curved space-time, that any attempt to measure the orbital motion while you're on the earth won't work. You won't be able to detect it because time slows down and any apparatus you to try to detect it will actually contract and it'll perfectly compensate for the differences in time difference you would use to measure motion. So like, you know, I don't know. I guess I'm just perplexed as to the approach.
You didn't even know how to integrate acceleration. You didn't even know that that the kinematic equations are integrations of Newton's laws. And you expect me to believe that you understand relativity and all these other things enough to tell me that's what it means, and then try to refute what you're telling me it means. No, I don't know how many times I have to keep repeating that. Next question.
We can move into the
Wait,
next
wait.
question.
It has nothing to do with the reason that I finally had enough, had nothing to do with it's so simple. All you did was cross out variables and prove my point that it was kinematic in its origin. The reason I finally was fed up, it was like clearly the tactics was just to try to get a gotcha, make me look bad. And I feel like I almost did a favor to come here. You don't get to
The,
disrespect me like that. So anyway, we
the
can move
thing
on.
is, Professor Dave didn't challenge you, so you didn't get a chance to
Neither did you.
check and drive on him. But if you listen to what he said when I first asked him the question, are you saying the kinematic equations doesn't have to do with gravity? If you listen to what he said to Professor Dave in their debate, and then you see what he's saying afterwards, you can see the check and drive. You
All
don't
right.
know what you're
Dude, I
talking about.
showed it. I showed the kinematic equation.
You,
Wait, let me say one thing. I said yes in the Depressor Dave. I said you can use a kinematic equation to determine 9.8 meters per second squared. You asked me about it here. I confirmed.
mhm.
I am still saying that. I showed it. I showed what the actual equation was. What you did was then take your alleged dynamic equation and then you started to integrate it. And what you did was actually end up with only a kinematic. You proved my point, which is that it's actually just a kinematic with additional variables thrown in there with an unverified dynamic mechanism. It isn't, it's literally just kinematic. You proved my point. I said it's solved with kinematics. You brought up a dynamic equation and then ended up integrating it, proving that it ends up just being a kinematic equation. So,
All right.
I
What
mean,
I've
whatever.
shown is after today, only the dumbest, most ignorant people will remain followers of you after they've seen how wrong you are on basic things. That's what I've shown.
This goes to show that people can really just have two totally different experiences in the same place.
All right, let's carry on to the next question there, guys. I appreciate you being on your, in my quotations, best behavior while I had a call of nature. So thank you so much, both of you. Zahoe says, imagine being Darryl and clipping these for his soundboard like, yes, I'm gonna get him with this one. Lol. Those were in capitals, so I did my best, Zahoe, to give it some juice, but you can decide to move on, or you can engage with Zoe
Uh,
on that.
I don't respond briefly. Yeah, I think it was fun. So yeah, shout out to me, I guess. Yeah.
All right. Let's see. Um, So Hoey says again, just scrolling up here, challenge. Challenge. Criticize anything Witsit says without saying a word salad because you can't understand. Oh, he's coming at you again. Anything to say to
Interesting.
Zahoe?
I guess I would need a timestamp of when I ever even said that word. I'm not going to say it now because then I would have said it, but I don't remember ever in this entire discussion mentioning that phrase. So
No,
if
you
he could give
didn't.
me a
You didn't.
timestamp where he mentioned it, then I'll take a look and see what I
I
meant
think
by
he
it.
preemptively sent that because you all do that, but your tactic was a
Oh, I
little
see.
different. Your
Oh, I
tactic
got you.
was a
I
little
got you.
different. Yeah, it was just to say that you've already discredited me as a source altogether, so you don't have to engage with any of my points whatsoever, which is
The thing is, you
maybe
didn't make your own
worse.
points. Your points were trying to tell me what my position is. Your
Yo,
your
the
your model
audience,
is
the
this.
audience. I don't want
Relativity
to go
is
in
this.
circles about it,
Yeah,
bro.
let's not do the meta right now. I think it would probably just be best to move on there. I think you've both made your
Oh, you said
statement on
that
that.
you said I take that I take the quotes I invoked out of context and I asked for a specific example. You said all of them, and I said, okay, if it's literally all of them, then you should be able to name one specifically, and you can't. It's just the same word cell tactic, but a little different.
If you
Mhm.
want to respond, go ahead, Daryl. I said we
No,
were
no
moving
need.
on.
Well,
I think we
sorry,
Hurry
got
up,
Ryan.
it
We gotta
guys.
enough.
lay, we gotta lay it out because people are coping in the chat. I'm guessing,
Mhm.
and I realize this conversation's one that makes people literally see things differently, and you got to kind of like lay it out for them. This was disingenuous, bad faith tactics.
See things or seething, either way. I don't know if you're with me on this
Not too bad
Witsit.
there.
Yeah, I can segue every once in a while. I don't know if you're with me on this Witsit. We should create a merch store and come out with a modern day debate handkerchief for all the tears we get. Anyways, let's carry on. Kango 44. Hey, we'll help you dry those salty tears, you sensitive little. Anyway, Positively Diverse Podcast says, thanks for the contact. Keep debating. You do keep failing and flailing, but still great content. Let's push for an Iron Raw evolution debate.
So I tried to get okay. So that's what I find it interesting. I actually would debate evolution. I would have to brush up on some of the specifics because I mean, like irreducible complexity ends it. But the point is, I actually wanted him to debate atheism versus creationism, and he didn't. He refused to do so. And what I've discovered is almost no atheist. Shout out to Leo, actually, right? He took that debate, but almost no atheist will do that. They want to talk about evolution versus creationism. That's a false dichotomy, right? So what I was told was that I think this is important real fast. They told me that atheism versus creationism was a false dichotomy. No, it's not. Either this place was created or it wasn't. Either there's a creator or no creator. That's not a false dichotomy. There's no viable third option. But evolution and creationism is a false dichotomy, right? Because a creator could have created the process of evolution. So I want him to defend the philosophical, implications of atheism and show that it's even viable. And dude, no atheist will debate it. No atheist will debate it. So shout out to Leo. At least he did attempt to do so. So
Yeah.
that's my take on the R and Raw. I want atheism, creationism, not evolution.
See, I remember you guys, well, of course, we had a few chats when we met up in Texas there. And once again, we will be having another live event. Hopefully, well, not hopefully, yeah, it'll be in New Jersey. It's going to be in October. It's going to be great. Hopefully, we will see you guys there. But yeah, I remember I was going around at the time saying, "Oh my goodness, we needed to have that handkerchief." What do you think, Darryl? Do we need do we need to come out with some sort of merch or modern day debate handkerchief to just dry all the tears of all the people that just get so upset?
It'll, it'll be fun.
I think it would be a top seller. All right. All right. It's always good to get your guys' opinion. I think I'm gonna go forward with that one. Kango 44. Why don't we use geocentric model for the ephemerides? I'm not sure if I'm saying that right. Ephemerides, developers and modern ephemerides. I don't know how to say this word. Use in the
Ephemeris.
Okay, thank you so much, Ephemeris. Use in the barycentric model. Strange
Barycentric.
terms. Thank you so much, though.
Yeah, I don't really know. Like, basically, why do you guys not use the barycentric? Can you read it again? I'm sorry. I
Well,
like not the hard words. If I'll replace them while you
yeah,
say
help
them.
me out, right? I don't use the geocentric model for the Emphirides. Emphirides? I can't remember. Developers of the modern Ephemeris. use the
Ephemeris, yeah. Sorry.
use the barycentric model. Boys, oh boys, I'm struggling with that one tonight.
It's just hard for me to remember every time I end up forgetting because of the thing, but the modern people don't use the barycentric ephemeris. Why do they not use the barycentric one? I'm not sure what the question is, so sorry. I think it's for him probably, but I'm trying to help out. I don't know what it is.
Well, if you can help us out there, Darryl, and maybe clarify what we're hearing here, that
I'm not sure.
me neither. I'm probably saying it wrong,
Hmm.
and that's just screwing everybody up. I'm so sorry. Zahoe says, oh, we already read that one, Zahoe. Thank you so much. Kango44 says, Earth's orbit causes some stars to be visible only in certain months. The night sky looks different throughout the year because we only see in one direction, away from the sun. This information is 10 years old, says Kango. So, any thoughts on the panel?
Mm,
Uh,
I would say it's more than 10 years that we knew that, but if that's what he meant. But yeah. So we basically the
Oh.
sun is in a certain
No,
in
sorry. He
a
said this
certain constellation.
information. I'm sorry. I'm laughing because I did read it entirely wrong. I'm gonna blow this up because I'm apparently,
Right.
just getting too old and I can't see right anymore. He says this information is for 10-year-olds. Oh, Kango,
Oh,
I
I got you. I
butchered
got
it.
you. Oh, yeah. Exactly. Yes. So yeah.
and
So I mean,
that's
for
for
instance,
me. That's for me,
oh,
right?
I'm sorry. Do you think? I'm
No,
sorry.
you're good. You're good. But I mean, I don't care really. But that's Kango. He's one of my biggest fans.
Oh, okay.
So but he's not really.
Arguably,
I'm
arguably,
like,
yes. I think so.
yeah, yeah. But he's saying like, you don't even get what a 10-year-old would get. Blah blah
Oh, I
blah.
got you. I got
Okay, yeah. But the truth is, actually, like, yes, we see different stars at different times of the year. One option is that there's literally a procession and progression of the sky around a stationary Earth. Option two is that it just looks like that, right? But actually, we're moving. So it's very simple. It's like the sun changes its position relative to the sky throughout the year. There's a giant cycle. Either the Earth is supposedly moving, making it look like that as an illusion, or it's just actually doing that. So the position, like observations of stars being specific to certain times of the year, isn't exclusive to heliocentrism at all. And it's called a kinematic equivalence.
All right. Seems like we're ready to move on there, fellas. All right. So
you.
thanks once
Not,
again to our live
if I
chat.
could, I don't mind giving a response if I can.
Oh, okay. I just figured you
I,
were gonna jump in there, but go ahead.
I think all anybody has to do is go through my presentation and take the steps to understand every part. Like understand Newton's laws and do some experiments with masses and understand how gravity works, which we have to do in our physics lab. Then study the planets and understand orbits and just move up the line, and you'll see that the solar system is heliocentric. That's all I have to say.
All right, cool.
Okay. Kango44 says, question for Witsit. Which side of the dome do we need to be on to see the stars rotate clockwise and then counterclockwise? And then Kango, being, the friendly person they are, says, clown, to follow it
Okay.
up. What a nice
Yeah.
person you are, Kango. But I read it. People get upset if I don't read them verbatim. You know what I mean? Like, I don't get it. Don't make me say anything stupid. I won't read that. But go ahead there, Austin.
Yeah, it's funny. They think this is like a gotcha. It's so embarrassing. It's like elementary level stuff. Like Professor Dave denying that, for example, if I spin a bicycle tire in the garage and then I look at it from a different direction, it'll look like it's spinning the opposite way. Obviously, it was just spinning the same way the whole time. If I turn around and look at it, it's going to look like it's going, say, left or right. And then if I turn around and look at it from the other way, it'll look like right to left. They're like, oh, would you have to be outside the dome? They don't understand that the stars are above you. They look like they drop down in front of you. You're either looking towards the north or looking towards the south. I will say, though, I saw a very interesting model at a conference I spoke at recently. And this guy showed the projection of the star trails, right? So all moving one direction, and it actually created the counter rotation in like 4 quadrants on the outside of the dome. It was wild. It was really cool. So, but anyway, yeah, like layers to the dome, you see them within there. It's all relative to the center. Uh, I'm blown away now at what people think are like home runs. So it's all good.
All right. Yeah, I think I think we should move on, guys, because we got lots of.
Because these are like these weed specific things that some of us know about, right? And I know the audience is like, what exactly are they talking about?
And let's try to let's try to push forward. Like I said, there's lots of questions. At least Austin did not resort to playing with a Rubik's cube. Oh, I think the Science of Science is not a fan of MC Toon on our
Yeah.
last debate,
Mhm.
but he did solve the Rubik's cube. I did notice that, so that's interesting. Fat ass dogs. Oh my. Dogs that can't get insulin. I don't know what this is. If the Earth doesn't revolve around the sun, then how can you explain changes, weather, and changes of seasons? To clarify.
Are you serious? The sun moves in relation to the earth and it has its own cyclical pattern that changes throughout the year. And that's not even, again, this is not exclusive to shape, this specific conversation. But anyway, so let me explain a little. Either the sun is not moving in relation to us, but it looks like it's moving because we're moving around it, or the sun is literally just moving in relation to us and it has an analemma because it moves its pattern throughout the year, which is what it does. The other model, the heliocentric model, claims it looks like the analemma because we're moving around it, an ellipse, and it's an illusion. So that would explain the seasons and the locality of the sun and all of that both ways. Actually, only one is viable though. That's that the Earth's not moving. It's been proven.
Any thoughts on the other side?
Mm, uh,
All right.
look at my presentation. You can see that go down the line, and you can see that if you understand Kepler's laws and Newton's laws, and that's how we even measure the masses of like the sun and the earth by understanding these things and the predictions. One side is a clear winner, which is why we've been understanding the world is heliocentric since when was it? The 17th century is when it first started to come. So don't revert to the thinking of people from before thousands of years ago. It's horrible.
All right. Any last words there, Austin, before we move on?
I mean, no, like the argument that people used to think something back in the day and they don't think it anymore, so it must be correct is ridiculous. All of
When did I
science
say that?
considered geocentrism in 1887 because of Michelson Morley. It doesn't matter what some people thought back in the day, but
When
it
did I
doesn't
say
matter.
that?
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You got no
Okay.
proof of it. It's okay. It's just like a religious belief. So
All right, let's just carry on then. DJ Nugs says geocentrism has multiple meanings. On the key to geocentric ephemeris of the planets that Whitsitt screen shared.
Immerse.
Oh, you got me. All right, it literally says geocentric means as seen from Earth's center. Whitsitt equals
Yes.
dishonest, they say. So go ahead there and
That
respond to
doesn't
DJ
what that
if you want
doesn't
to.
what does that do to rebut me at all? Nothing's dishonest. What's dishonest is heliocentric proponents pretending that you need the heliocentric model to make predictions for eclipses or solar motion or solar or planetary alignment, when literally the way we do all of that is with the ECF. So they make the original claim that, oh, you need a heliocentric model. You can't even show these predictions. Where's your model? We're like, oh, wait, that's literally how everyone in the world makes the predictions, is using a geocentric model. And then it shifts over to, but that's because we're from the Earth. How does that prove anything? It's like, what? You're the one that made the ridiculous claim of exclusivity that doesn't exist.
All right.
So it's all very interesting. Like, yeah, we map everything from the Earth being in the center because that's how we actually observe reality at all levels.
Let's push forward. Zahoe says, I think this is for you again, Darryl. Austin Whitsitt quotes Einstein. Darryl quotes Austin Whitsitt. Well, thank you for your 20th super chat. We really appreciate Zahoe and your support for the channel. So they're saying Austin Whitsitt quotes Einstein. Darryl quotes Austin Whitsitt. Any thoughts over there, Darryl?
It's because I had the information that or idea that once I tried to pin him on some of the stuff he said, he would start changing it. So that's why I want to bring the quotes to make sure I can pin him. That's why I also played that quote where he said that if you're not consistent, you're a shuck-in driver and you're a liar. So he showed himself to either have to be a shuck-in driver or a liar, and a liar because he's shucking and driving, or when he said that, he was lying. So either way it goes, you can pick which kind of lie he wants to be. That's why I brought the quotes.
Okay.
I literally explained the actual context of each quote and offered you $1,000 bet in front of everyone that if we went and listened to it in context, it would say exactly what I said, which is when you move one sphere in front of another, it distorts the shadow, and you just went silent. So I didn't change my position on anything. I added the proper context to what you tactically. I actually think you probably just don't follow my arguments, and so you actually maybe believe some of the straw men's, and that is, of course, Hitchens' razor, which is don't assume ill intent that which can adequately be explained with competence. But I'm actually giving you the benefit of the doubt.
I was gonna say you guys throw $1,000 in bets around quite lucratively. I'm just
Well, it
gonna
really
say,
cuts the nonsense out very quick, Ryan. Right? If someone's just lying and BSing, and they're not going to bet you $1,000, are they?
well, I don't know. I mean, I'm just gonna start asking you guys for money or something. I don't have that kind of money to throw around. What are you
I
guys
just
doing?
know that there's a 0%
I'm
chance I
poor
can
as
lose the
hell. What's
bet.
going on
So
here?
it's literally just a procedure to try to expedite honesty. Because at this point, I found I needed to come up with something.
All right, I'm just having fun. I'm just joking, but yeah, thanks again to super chatters. We appreciate you. Kango44 says, "Witsit, can you please integrate Darryl's equations?"
Yeah, he did it. It wasn't
All you're
about
gonna do
whether or
now
not
is follow what I
think
did.
about the level of like mentality. Think about the mentality required to come here. It's almost like this weird obsessive sadist. Like it's like let's just try to ask Austin, like let's treat Austin like he's our child or our slave. He's so beneath us that we can come and be like, hey, do this, do that, do this. Hey, you know what? Make these equations for me. Hey, pull this out and write this out for me. Hey, go do. It's like, no. Oh, listen, here are your clips. So that was the point. It's out of principle. It was disrespectful. He proved my point with that. That was the biggest backfire of the entire debate. He integrated it and showed that it ends up just being a kinematic equation, which was my whole point. So I think that the intelligent audience members will pick up on that. So
if we can rewind right to the beginning, I think Darryl had some thoughts there to inject, and then we'll get to the next question and give you the closing thoughts. So if you want to respond there,
I
Darryl.
mean, more than once, you have interjected that your intellect is so outstripping everyone else and you're such a whiz at math. So you open the door to be challenged on those things that you're bragging about. So my conclusion is simply that you couldn't do it and you tried to run away from it. And if you could do it, then it makes sense that you would know that the kinematic equations are integrals of that, which I showed. So you couldn't do it. You're showing that you're wrong about what kinematic equations are. And there you go.
dude, he literally keeps saying proof I can't do it is that I didn't understand that the integrations result in the kinematic equation. The kinematic equation are parts of it. When that was my entire argument, I actually said it in my opening statement. I literally said it in my opener, dude.
Right.
You made my argument for me. And actually, the context of me being so good at math, I said that when I was in school, I had an aptitude for math. That's just a fact. What is that? It doesn't even matter.
All right, you're segueing perfectly.
People that aren't specifically intelligent are the ones that brag about how they like, hey, look, I learned calculus and here's my equations. The actual context of that was I was saying it's just ironic because I actually do happen to have an aptitude of math. Aptitude doesn't even mean that I know all kinds of math, if you know what the word aptitude means.
Well, I got to cut you off because our next super chat is directly asking about the math. Alejandro asked, Witless got triggered because he got caught not knowing math. What's the matter with Witsit? Can't do simple high school math. So we'll just keep carrying on that same thread there, Austin.
Yeah, no, it's not that I can't do it. It is that I do not have to sit here as if Darryl is so superior to me that he can just disregard every point I make and disengage. And he just has this list of like attempted gotchas or a smear campaign in what's supposed to be a debate. That was the second time he tried to get me to do some math equation in the middle of the debate, right? And it's just the principle of that. So like, wait, Darryl, do you want to bet that I can do that integration?
After you just saw me do it, of course. But this
Okay.
is,
Oh, so you think I couldn't?
but this
You think I
but this is
couldn't
the question, though,
eliminate
Witsit.
variables in an
You did ask
equation?
Darryl a question, so let's let Darryl respond.
But this is the response. when you asked me, okay, what's your evidence that the earth revolves around the sun, and I went through detailing my presentation, are you saying that at that moment I should have told you, oh, you're not better than me, I'm not going to respond to you? Are you saying that's what my response should have been to you when you challenged me on my position?
Well, your response literally was that you
No, no,
don't
no.
have to
I really
answer my
want an answer to this
questions.
question. Are you saying that when you challenged me, I should have told you what? You're not better than me. I'm not going to respond to you. Are you saying that's how I should have responded to you?
What are you saying? Is that what I'm saying? This is everything you do is
When I
weird and
challenge you on your
dishonest.
statements about math, you're saying, oh, your excuse is, oh, you're not better than me. But when you challenge me, answered you.
Okay. Okay.
So,
What?
so
Well,
what
what I
happened
said
is,
was,
so what I'm asking you now is, are you saying that when you
you
challenge
should
me,
be banned from the
are
platform,
you
I
saying
think.
that when you challenge me,
It's that bad.
I should have told you, oh, you're not better than me, I'm not going to respond to you? Is that what I should have told you?
Okay, you've said it 5 times. I'm trying to.
And you
No,
haven't
the
answered
point.
yet.
Last word for Witsit, and we'll carry on.
Okay. So the actual point was that had nothing to do with the debate. You pulled out a clip of me saying that in high school I had an aptitude for math and they accused me of cheating. That's literally a fact. It's just a fact. I was telling a story in a Discord to friends or someone. I don't know exactly where it's from. You went and clipped it out and you brought that into a debate and said, you said you were good at math in high school. Well, then do this equation for me. How does that have anything to do with an alleged intellectual discussion about heliocentrism and geocentrism? That is the point. It is little immature, childlike tactics of bad faith.
All right, let's carry on, guys. We got lots of super chats, and like I said, I think there's, based on what I'm reading here, there's all kinds of opportunity to put all kinds on the table. So, Alejandro
Banish
says,
him. I'm joking. I'm joking. I'm
send him to the banish.
I'm saying I won't be participating in a future debate with him. Is all I'm saying.
Well, I
I
appreciate you
bet
being
you won't
here.
after this whooping you got.
Well,
You literally avoided every single point.
all right, you guys, you're all right. Well, either way, I appreciate you staying out here, Austin, despite feeling that way.
Yeah.
But
But
Alejandro,
look, let's all agree to expedite it.
yeah, for sure.
I'm
Alejandro,
playing my role in it for sure. I'll do my part to expedite.
All right, let's carry on. Alejandro says Witless got triggered because he got caught not knowing math. What's the matter? What's it? Oh, that's the.
Oh, you just read that one actually. We just answered that one.
Sorry, he's got another one after that. A lot of them are
Oh.
very similar. Matters now says integration is important to understand gravity. Witsit, if you don't understand it, you don't understand gravity. After show on Matters Now.
I understand. I had to teach Darryl about gravity the entire debate. He never engaged with it.
Okay, let us just keep pushing forward. And thanks again to both our speakers and the live chat for the questions. Positively Diverse Podcast says $2 for the tissues, Witsit. Well, just you wait.
Yeah, you guys are coping. Anyone that thinks Darryl won this debate, I literally couldn't care less about trying to inform you of anything. You are completely coping and dishonest.
Well, just you wait. Next time we have a super chat like that, maybe somebody will have a handkerchief with MDD on it, and they can just. Anyway,
I'm supposed to just since I'm a flat earther, I'm supposed to just let anyone and everyone like treat me like I'm beneath them. No, that's actually incorrect. And I was very patient and bit my tongue for about an hour.
All right. Well, we'll try to get those tissues over to Positively Diverse Podcast since they were so triggered there. I'm just picking. Man of War says, what's it in simple words? Can you explain what a kinematic equivalence is? And can you show a simple mathematical equation a layman can understand?
No, I'm not going to show an equation right now, but I read a quote that explains it. I'll read you the quote from Einstein again. Here it is. I have it pulled up right here. This is from Albert Einstein, The Evolution of Physics from Early Concepts to Relativity and Quantum, page 224, 1938. Obviously, completely in context. Go check it out. This answers your question as to simply what is a kinematic equivalence. He explains it very simply here. The struggle, so violent in the early days of science between the views of Ptolemy and Copernicus, would then be quite meaningless. Either coordinate system could be used with equal justification. The two sentences, the sun is at rest and the earth moves, or the sun moves and the earth is at rest, would simply mean two different conventions concerning two different coordinate systems. And so that is the simplicity of a kinematic equivalence. Earth moves around sun, sun moves around earth. Equally valid. How one object moves in relation to the other.
All right. Oh, it seems like I caught you right in the end there. So thank you, Austin, for answering the question. Kango44 says this super chat is for the fun. It helps Witsit's butt hurt. Oh,
Thank you,
Kango,
man.
you are just like say. Some people are here to make friends tonight. Matters now
Well, no,
says.
I shouldn't have got upset, but it's just like, of course, the people that are here pretending Daryl won are like, anytime they can see anything, they will advocate and stamp any type of behavior or tactics because they just desperately want to see me like not know something or get upset. And that shows you again the weakness of your hand. If like it's like if Austin kind of gets frustrated, then we win. It's such a gay little feminine. All right, anyway, sorry. It's all good.
Oh my. All right. All right. Matters now says, you got to argue I was a liar and Ryan allowed it. I think this is Ozian, and to be fair, it seems like a strange high horse. I'm pretty sure you called me a liar at one point, Oz. So it's kind of a bit
Yeah,
of
and
a
he's called me a
novelty
liar.
in your world, isn't it? Sorry, I've
Dude,
just
that
got to
whole
pick.
thing was so weird when Ozian did that was so weird because it was like I was explaining the context of what I actually said and he was twisting it but wouldn't let me say it. And he's like, because he really wanted that victim card and he still runs around using it to this day. But
All right, I won't.
whatever.
I won't throw all that shade and just let us pile
I
on
will. He
there.
stalks me on X. I had to block him. It was so bad.
Oh God! All right, Miguel Infante says, "So dishonest, Darryl. You have nothing but fallacious arguments. Good job, Witsit. Complete logical and intellectual domination."
Well, I would say if you think a semester of testing basic physics like Newton's laws and measuring things falling and calculating the motions, if you think taking spectra of the sun and finding the elements in the solar atmosphere, if you think studying the sun through a telescope as well as through satellite images and calculating the rotation, if you think that's just a fallacious argument, then I okay. Okay, that's all I have to say about that.
Dude, I'm like impressed at the
Well,
group, the level of toxicity of like heliocentric proponents. Actually, you guys are like extremists, basically. Like if this was Islam, you would be like jihad. No, you would be like
okay.
ISIS or some
Hold
Hamas.
on. Stop.
You guys are Hamas. You're like
All
this
right.
extreme minority
You
that
said
is
you didn't
super
want to
weird
debate
even within
political
your own
stuff.
paradigm.
Don't make me mute you. Oh, honestly, no, Susan, you said you didn't want to debate all this stuff, but you.
No, I'm just using an analogy. Like whatever extreme terrorist group that's a minority, that's like the anti-flat earthers. It's like you guys are super, they're like so toxic and it's
You're so
weird. It's like,
ready. You're
why
so
would you
ready.
care? Why would you care?
I gotta wonder. I will have to try to get you on for one of those debates. I swear. I know you're secretly into it. But Darryl, if you had any response, we'll carry
Oh, no,
on. If
all
not,
good.
all right, no worries. All right, Sasquatch says, Darryl, you got schooled tonight again. Pay attention this time. Sasquatch is just throwing shade in the live chat, so we got a few of those hanging out. We appreciate you guys. Like I said, it's all helping for our upcoming live event. I'm not sure if you're going to be in New Jersey this time, Witsit. I'm not sure if that's been on the docket, Darryl, if you're going to be attending the New Jersey convention. But yeah, it was a pleasure bumping into you last time there, Witsit, and getting to host you and Leo and the other events that you got to do. So yeah, once again, to our live audience, keep an eye out. We're going to have some upcoming events for that. Wow, says Alexander.
The obsession
L.
is wild.
Oh yeah, we're all obsessed. I'm late, says Alexander L. But this is the most thorough destruction of Witsit ever. Okay, so he's
Okay, cool. Can we let's expedite it.
You want to expedite? Go ahead. We can carry on, but
Well, it's just a lie. Everyone watched. He literally didn't even engage the points.
all right. Talking back.
They're just trying to get me like they're just trying to say things to provoke me, Ryan. It's very obvious.
I know, but I was gonna say if I'm trying to carry on and then you interject, then it carries on, you know, like they getting what they want, right? Take Back Eden says, does Austin or Darryl think they are an ape? I think they're making an evolutionary commentary, so I think you've participated in some of those debates, Austin, so you can...
Of course not. It's ridiculous. That's why there's no missing links or intermediate species, and it's just stupid on its face.
All right, any thoughts, Darryl, on that discussion before we move on?
I'm into physics and astronomy, so...
No worries. Alexander L says, Witsit finally got confronted on math. Well,
Sure.
Alexander, yeah, glad that you were happy with the results of what we got out of today's discussion. Positively Diverse Podcast says, best way to understand geocentric and or flat earthers, you need to understand people, and some people are dumb. By the way, love you, Ryan. Love you too, buddy. That's the Canadian way. We love everybody. That's just how we are. So, best
That's
way
why
to
your country's collapsing. I'm just kidding. Good.
we have a good time here, honestly. We've got
Yeah,
a
you might want to pump the brakes on bringing everyone in, but yeah.
I knew it. What's it? You keep saying I don't want to have political discussions. I can smell it coming off your mouth. All right,
Saying Europe has collapsed as we know it.
but the sun just
Like
collapsed under my
factually.
table. All right, I'll have to check out what that is in a second. Best way to understand geocentric and or flat earthers, you need to understand people, and some people are dumb. So I don't know if you want to comment on any of the undertones there before I distracted with my Canadianness.
No, all that the majority of people have that defend heliocentrism is like literally just tactics and ad homs and like weird little poisoning the well fat. I mean, it's very low level, so not it doesn't matter.
All right, Alexander L. Witsit cited the cosmic background radiation in this debate. If Witsit believes in the CBR, he has to believe in space and telescopes and NASA.
First of all, I actually didn't cite it. Someone asked about it in a super chat, and I added context to it. And I don't have to believe that anyone went to the claimed distances to get high altitude readings of the non-visible spectrum of light. I've explained this multiple times. No doubt you've heard it, and just know that I have to now say it again by you saying the question without the context you know exists,
Right.
which is just pretty dishonest. But that seems to be the status quo for a lot of you guys.
All right, Sacred asks, Darryl, when did you highlight exclusive evidence for Earth's motion around the sun? That doesn't have a geocentric equivalence. Watch, he
I
won't
would say
answer,
look
they
at my
say.
presentation. Look at the whole presentation, and then when I answered Witz's challenge on it, all of that about gravity, because the given the mass of the Earth and the mass of the sun does not rotate around the Earth. All the planets don't rotate around the Earth. Everything, revolves around the Earth. Everything revolves around the sun because gravity dictates that. That's the way it works.
If you account for all the mass and everything else that's in the universe, then the Earth would feasibly be in the center using Newtonian physics and dynamics,
Okay.
as well as Einsteinian.
Last
Newton
word.
thought the sun was the center of the entire universe. He did not account for all of that mass. I rebutted that in my opener. You have never addressed it yet.
All right, last word to Darryl.
I guess for the 10th time, I'm not going to listen to you tell me what my model and position is when you can't even do basic integration. So yeah, let's keep going.
Maluka
Pathetic.
I can't say this name. I'm so sorry. Like, I'm gonna have to look at this for like a while. Witsit, what motive would government academic have for misleading the public? Are we mistaken or for control? And how would this actually control us?
Well, the vast majority of people are not in on anything, but why would like what would this benefit? How would this control us? Well, it's called the Copernican principle, which is that the Earth does not occupy a special or unique position, and it is a fundamental prerequisite to claim that this place is random happenstance and is chaotic, blah blah blah. And that obviously ends up turning into atheism, which turns into nihilism and apathy, typically, right? Because there is no true reason or order to existence, and so nihilism is very easy to control. Um, the best slave states are nihilist, and we've seen that obviously atheism/communism has resulted in the death of tens of millions of people because those people are apathetic. So that's just one of many ways, and I think a lot of these intellectuals actually are staunchly atheist, so they're always going to view through the lens of the Copernican bias. That's why I encourage everyone to watch The Principle, the documentary The Principle.
All right, Darryl, Woodsit respond to your last question. So if you want to respond, and we'll give him the last word.
Guess in relation to that, I am curious, Witzit, is your position of geocentrism and flat Earth based upon like that God created it that way? Like is a sort of religious belief to it?
No. Like it is the other way around. It's just that the evidence is that the Earth is geocentric and a stationary topographical plane. And then the consequences of that is that it was in fact created. Because there's, I mean, logically speaking, there's no other way, right? Like once I discovered that the evidence shows the Earth's in the center and that was being suppressed and lied about, if the Earth's in the center of the universe, well, then you know how to get there.
So it's safe to say that if flat Earth is if you recognize flat Earth is disproven, that means from your perspective, God is disproven?
Of course not. No, you can prove God with the first and second natural law, with irreducible complexity, with just the complexity of everything, with actually the fact that systems seek equilibrium intrinsically. There are many ways that you can prove design.
Okay, thanks for sharing. I was just curious.
All right. Let's see. Daniel McGullen says, Darryl, say shuck and jive one more time, pretty please, they say.
Check and jive. Checking and jiving.
Oh, man. Thanks, Daniel, for your contributions to helping us out here modern day debate. We appreciate it. Yeah, Shane Taft says, I remember that quartering debate. They did a poll at the end and showed half the audience changed their mind after watching Austin smoke Dave so bad. So that's a commentary on another debate that happened, I think, in another space too. So, you know, if you want to check that out, I think Austin participated. You know, and he's participated.
Let me
in lots of
correct
debates,
myself.
so
Apparently, I said first and second natural law. Obviously, meant the natural laws, the first and second law of thermodynamics, which are natural laws.
All right, no worries. Kango44, Witsit, given a 5-kilogram ball 2 meters from the ground impulsed with 10 newtons, please solve it for where the ball will land using your understanding of physics. This is a very simple problem.
No. Like, think about this. Let me say one thing. What other debate, hey, Ryan, can you tell me, what other debate with any actual intellectuals ever have shown up to the debate with a pop quiz of math questions that they want to ask the other person and demand that they start to do the math in front of everyone at that moment? What respectable debater would ever tolerate that from someone like a constituent? No one. It has nothing to do with if you can or can't. That's the most disrespectful, derogatory position ever. It's like you think you're so much better that you can come and just boss the other person around with gotcha questions. No, dude, you should. It's just, it's laughable. You people have no juice.
Well, I was gonna say you're scraping at low-hanging fruit when it comes to me because I am very bad at math generally.
Dude, like I'm just saying,
for,
Ryan,
like,
music
math.
can we be honest about this? Like, Darryl, can you be? There's a guy sending a super chat saying, "Hey, solve for this math equation." So if a flat earther sends you a solve for this math equation, Darryl, right now, solve for this math equation, you're gonna just start doing it all. I'm like, wait, everyone pause. Let's wait up. Let me do my math equation because someone sent $5 and told me to come up with a random equation. So let me. Would you do that, Darryl?
That might be a fair criticism. What do you think of that, Darryl? Would that be something that you might be like, hey, that's, you know, I'm going to have to take a moment?
I would say like this. I did solve an equation that was relevant to the discussion, right? So if somebody challenged me with something that was relevant, I did it. So it's not a question of will I do it. I did
Okay,
it.
cool. So I'm about to have someone send you an equation right now.
Let me finish answering the question.
Yeah,
You're lying.
let's let him finish. I asked the question as neutral as I could, so go ahead there, Darryl.
This is the thing with it. People who have legitimate challenges to the current paradigm don't have to be challenged because they lead with it. Kepler didn't come up and just say the sun is in the center of the solar system and the planet's going a predictable way. And they said, well, give us the equation. And you said, well, you're not the boss of me. He started with the equation. Same thing with Newton. He started with the understanding, with the calculus, right? And the 3 laws. And
he started with the belief that sun was God.
The same thing with Einstein. He started with relativity. So people who have legitimate positions don't have to be asked or challenged. They lead with everything that's needed to figure it out for themselves. So when I ask you for these equations and models, and you don't have them, it's because your position is not a valid position.
Okay, like I said, dude, there's a huge, you guys are weirdos. I'm just gonna be very honest here. To go send super chats and be like, hey, so look, and you come up with specific values of a specific little math question, right? And be like, oh, or it's just like whenever someone's like, oh, if you look at the latitude 37 degrees, I want you to solve the magnetic declination at 12:37 p.m. on a, it's like, Oh, you didn't answer it right then. Haha, stupid. It's such a weird, dishonest, bad faith tactic. The fact you had an equation that you were ready to fill out has nothing to do with someone sitting super chat and saying, solve this right now live. Haha, what's it can't do math? I offered you a bet that I could do the integration and you didn't take it because you know I can do it.
All right.
So let's just move on because this is gay to me. It's just so stupid and
All right. We got 50.
weird.
All right, I'm gonna try to get you out of here in about 15 minutes here. Isa Kabir asking to you as well. Who are these globalists? Which group? Please say.
What's up? What do you say? Who's the group of globalists?
This is from Isa. So Isa's been on the show before. Really, I like Isa a lot. Very kind person. Who are these globalists? Which group? Please say.
I don't think there's any singular group. I already explained that there's a group that's overrepresented. I don't want to. This is disrespectful to the channel. That's how you know what it is. You can't actually say specific things, so you know who's in control by who you can't criticize.
All right.
Zionist. Stop being a little b is what someone says. It's just out of respect for someone else's channel. It's nothing to do with that. I literally talk about it all the time on my channel.
All right. Well, yeah. Okay. Let's carry on. JSS Tiger says, "What's it? How is the globe reverse engineered by looking at the sky? Stand at the equator, look north, and stars go counterclockwise. Look south, and they rotate clockwise." Looks like we're getting back into some of the FE discussion there, but you feel free to respond.
I didn't listen. Like I don't know. This debate's not supposed to be about flat Earth. It's not supposed to be about like, oh, let's see if we can ask Austin a random like gotcha question. It's just weird to me. I'm trying to be pretty patient here, but I didn't hear the question. Sorry. What is the question?
So the question is, how is the globe reverse engineered by looking at the sky? Stand and look at the equator, look at the stars go counterclockwise. Look at the south and they rotate clockwise.
Okay, it's because the literal dimensions and longitude and latitude coordinate system of the globe came from the sky, literally. That's how we created the globe dimensions in the first place. So quite literally, longitude and latitude coordinate system that is the globe comes from the sky, reverse engineered.
All right. Joe Brandon says, Darryl is the smart one on this panel.
Cool. What's up?
thank
That's what's
you.
up. Nice.
Well, no, I'm just sad. I'm just going to take that with me. That's it for
I'm
me.
I'm sure they mean the smart one
I'll
amongst
need
the.
my own
How are they
handkerchief.
overrepresented? Someone says. How are they overrepresented?
Ah.
How is a group, if say that hypothetically, if a group makes up anywhere from 0.2 to 2% of the population, but controls 98% of banking and media and like 70% of certain Nobel Prizes in certain fields, but they make up 2% of the media, would that be overrepresentation? It would, of course, because if it wasn't overrepresentation, they would equate to 2% of those things.
All right, let's carry
So
on.
that's they're trying to trap me into calling me anti-Semitic. That's all this is.
Well, let's carry on. What's it? You had a conversation with Alex Jones, classic, very animated Alex Jones. The YouTube figure for a long time. Matters Now asks, "What's it? Why did you let Alex Jones own you?"
He didn't even. What are you talking about? He didn't. I was talking to Harrison. He came on and said one thing, rambling somewhat incoherently about how he saw the sun when he was young, when him and his dad would sit out and drink beers. And then he just ran away. Like, he didn't even let me reply. Why'd you let Alex Jones own you when he didn't even have a chance to respond to him? It's like, I don't know. Why do you guys lie about everything?
All right, let's carry on. Zahoe says, Austin is one of the smartest people on our plane. So you have a fan out there in Zahoe, and he's letting you know, and that's a Canadian. Would you believe it, Witsit? All right.
No, I don't hate Canadians. I just hate politics of Canada.
Oh, no worries. Joe Brandon says most in this chat are flat earthers. I'm not sure about that based on the poll. It seemed like we had a very good split, actually. It was quite nice to see that we have a diverse crew hanging out in our live chat.
I think most flat earthers probably dipped out by now. And then the group that's here for the globe are literally just obsessively trying to find hope that they can get me triggered. I think it's really weird dynamic, but
Well, I'll put up
Yeah.
another poll here in a second after I ask this next question from Zahoy. So most on Earth will be flat earthers. Just give it 5 to 10 years, and the truth will continue to spread. So
Yeah, for sure.
I'm gonna bounce that over to Darryl. Do you think that's going to be the case? That will become the consensus, and we won't be putting Austin on the positive anymore, and we'll be doing the opposite in the
Okay.
future.
Of course not, because as time goes on, technology will continue to improve. Eventually, we'll be a spacefaring race. So there's no possible way that the mainstay of science. I mean, the fact is, the technology we have is based upon our understanding of the world. A lot of the technology we have on Earth was developed putting spacecraft in space. So there's no way that
Name one.
we will as a whole take that reversion. For instance, diapers. That's one of them that comes to mind.
It had nothing to
Uh,
do with
uh,
actual space. Like they supposedly developed that because they wanted it for space, right? But that has nothing to do with the idea you
you
just
said
presented was
name
like
one, I named
technology
one. What's the one
requires
that
the
comes to
understanding the
mind?
Earth's helios. It's just patently false.
And notice, by the way, Ryan, I didn't tell him you're not the boss of me. I answered your challenge. Thank you.
I was gonna say,
Oh, it's all good.
That excuse
It's
doesn't
all good.
fly.
I'm just saying all technology uses geocentric stationary plane Earth.
I
uh,
answered your challenge and I showed your excuse again doesn't fly because you
Okay, if
challenged me as well. You just
we
couldn't
have the
do it.
heliocentric model to think for diapers.
Okay, I was gonna say, I thought for a second there we might be going down into the astronauts relieving themselves in space thing again, and that was a total
No, no problem.
blast last time we talked about that.
Didn't
That's
diapers
fun.
exist kind of like throughout all history?
I believe they were more like cloth and stuff like that. My
Yeah, but that's a
understanding is
diaper.
that the updated version was made for space.
Yeah, the
So,
kind that
but
you
again, I
had
mean,
to take off your kid and
but
windmill over your head to just. All right, out to the sea you go. All right, Alejandro says, I'll debate you on atheism versus creationism anytime. Well, Alejandro, you may as well message me on the Discord, or you can hit up moderndaydebate@gmail.com. You can reach me at bc.adt. There's lots of ways that you can get on the channel if you want to debate. But yeah, let's carry on. We got lots of questions. Zahoui says, science is a religion and a cult. It requires blind faith. It tells you you're spinning when your body tells you you're not. It asks you to replace your own senses and trust the authority of government.
Yeah, that's more of a statement, but yeah, I would say scientism. Someone says, Austin said, Witcher said, name something. Not that one. Haha. It's like, no, he made the claim that like the heliocentric model, understanding that and space is somehow required for all kinds of technologies. And that's not true at all. The opposite's true. You have to treat the Earth as if it's flat for all the technologies and as if it's stationary. I asked for an example. He said diaper. That diapers are not exclusive to the Earth being a spinning ball in space. That was the whole point. So you guys are not understanding, but anyway.
No worries. I'm just seeing some strange chats in the live chat there.
I
I
do have
probably
a
just
brief
stopped
response to
reading
that one
it.
because I think that was
Go
kind of
ahead.
to me, right?
Yeah, go ahead.
I think it's kind of interesting that someone would refer to like science as scientism and just believing what government or authority says, when this is literally a debate where the person on the globe side showed his own spectra of the sun, showed his own pictures of the sun, and they're still saying that we just believe what they tell us. It's amazing. So let's keep going.
Let's carry
It
on.
has nothing to do with if the
Hold
Earth is
on there,
moving
Austin.
around it.
We'll carry on. Mark Turner says atheism is not something you debate against creationism because atheists have multiple existence theories, evolutions, aliens, just to name two.
First of all, aliens is creationism, buddy. Atheism's if you say aliens created us, that's creationism. Okay. So creationism meaning that this place was created, or the idea that it wasn't created with intelligent design, right? No deity, no intelligent design. Like creationism, or this place wasn't created, or just answer that question, just debate that question. Was the earth created? But the point is, atheists never want to actually defend it. It's always just a point over there and try to make fun of the Bible or something. Atheists cannot philosophically defend their belief that this place could exist without any intelligent design. They cannot do it. Literally, they can't do it.
All right. G Guns just puts in $2, so thank you for that. And then again from G Guns after that, their first super chat says, "Has Brian Mullins been silenced?" To Witsit.
What was it?
They asked, "Has Brian Mullins been silenced?" I'm not sure who that is.
I don't know. I think basically like a bunch of like psycho anti-flat earthers called his profession,
Okay.
tell him that he was a flat earther and that they need to take care of him, and the same type of behavior you see overrepresented in the chat right now.
Okay. Alexander L says, we're going to move on from that one, Alexander L. Appreciate you, but yeah, tune in for another debate if you're going to make that type of commentary. G Guns says, "Get Brian Mullins on the show for a $1,000 super chat." So I think that's G Guns making a commitment. So G Guns, if you source this person out and want to put $1,000 towards our next live event, you go for it. I am all for you. Alejandro Valhero says, Witsit complaining that we act like he is beneath us when he acts like we and the scientific community are beneath him. You reap what you sow. Anything
No,
to say,
that's not true.
Alejandro?
That's actually not true. Actually, I engage in intellectual discussion. I actually want to talk about the ideas and the specifics of it, right? That's not treating someone like they're beneath you. That's treating them like they're your equal, trying to have an actual, honest, intellectual discussion, showing up to discussion in good faith. Now, the other side of the coin is showing up in bad faith, being intellectually dishonest, thinking that people are beneath you. They don't even deserve like basic respect. You don't have to address or engage their points. You can gaslight them, call them names, belittle them, basically act like a
All
sadist
right.
where you find enjoyment in. Okay, my
If
point
we're
is
gonna
those are
throw
two
all
different,
this
very
out,
different
we've
things.
gotta let 'em
That's
respond.
you guys. That is you guys. You guys do that.
All right, go ahead, Darryl. We'll let you respond to what some of Austin
Oh,
threw out there.
yeah, I seem mostly to Witsit, so yeah, I'm good.
Okay. Congo44 says, Witsit, you just said the Darryl should be banned from the platform. Censor much. Oh, they're
Yeah.
accusing you of trying to censor people. So, any
Yeah.
thoughts there, Austin?
Well, no, I would never actually advocate for censorship of someone. But what I'm saying is like, yeah, I think obviously this isn't my channel. I don't care. But if someone's going to go to a debate show, there should be some type of parameters or decorum that's expected. You couldn't just let anyone and everyone come here and just start shouting at the top of their lungs the whole time, right? I mean, there has to be some type of decorum expected. You're agreeing to be on a show that debates. And my point is that if you come with like tactically chosen video clips that you're just going to play in the middle of people or play to avoid, I mean, I'm just saying, in my opinion, that's very poor decorum. But I probably wouldn't have said that again. I probably shouldn't have said he should be banned. I think my point kind of was like that this behavior is pretty unacceptable in intellectual forum, and I will no longer be interacting with it. That's more so what I meant.
Yeah, that's totally your right to decide who you'd like to debate or not. But Darryl, I'll give you a chance to respond if you want to. If you feel like
Okay.
anything was in poor taste, you can go ahead and respond to that. But
All good.
all right, no worries. G Gun says, not one university in the world teaches Witsit's dogma. Not sure if we got too much we can engage with there, G Guns. Yeah, we got a scratch of the face. I don't think we're gonna have too much of that. Matters Now says, all right, we're getting into the personal drama. Oh no, he blocked me because he lied about radar on X.
Dude, actually, you got completely scolded. I blocked you because every single post or reply I ever did on X, you stalked it and spammed replies and messages everywhere that I would go. It's just incredibly annoying. And then you would lie about me in these replies to basically bait me into interacting with you. So it's like, it's much better for me to just not see you because then I do end up getting baited into interacting with you. And you're just kind of an attention seeking, trying to get some clicks and stuff. I think it's just lame. That's why I blocked you. It has nothing to do with radar. This is why do you guys twist everything So dishonest. It's so weird. You have a made up version of every single thing. But whatever.
Okay. Uh, let's carry on. Matters Now says, I have never called you a liar, Ryan. Smoke less. Oh my. Smoke less. That sounds like a bit of gaslighting coming in over there. No, I'm just joking along. But screaming at the top of your lungs that somebody is spreading a false narrative, I think, is accusing them of lying. So check yourself before you wreck yourself there, buddy. Hercules says, Witsit, explain how Airy proved the stationary Earth.
Yeah, so basically took a telescope, we filled it with water based on the assumption that the Earth is actually spinning and orbiting. Then you would actually have a deflection of the starlight. So the light coming from a star as it entered the telescope, it would be going from the medium of air into water. And since the light propagates at a different speed in water, of course, it would actually deflect if the Earth was moving. And you could measure exactly how much it would deflect off its straight path because it slows down the water and it would hit the side of the telescope effectively at a specific angle. And it didn't do that. In fact, it even was seen to go the opposite way. No one has ever actually addressed Airy's failure whatsoever. They just claim that it just disproved the ether. It literally, that is not a rebuttal at all to the test. Most of them couldn't even tell you what happened in the test. So yeah, basically that's irrefutable. Like the Earth is not moving. Airy's failure. And then MMX really put it into the heliocentric model. That's why it just suppressed, buried, and completely ignored.
All right, let's carry on. G Gun says, Witsit and Brain Mullins, two most convincing flirfs. That's not a word I usually use on the show. Is that an okay term? I'm not sure.
I don't care. I embrace it to an extent.
Okay. So yeah, any thoughts on Brian Mullins? I'm not sure who this is. Once again. Kango44 says, the point with the questions, Witsit, is to see if you're just full of it. There is no reason to listen to you. You have no education, no credibility. Why would anyone listen to you? Oh.
And yet you're literally present at every single one of my debates, spending money on a minimum of 10 super chats. So the question is, why would you consistently listen to me in such an obsessive manner that you feel compelled to have to compulsively send messages to me every time I'm on the channel? So that's kind of embarrassing that you don't really see how ridiculous what you're saying is. I'm autodidactic. Some of the smartest people in the world. I mean, I'm not even claiming to be the smartest people in the world, nothing like that. I'm just saying, like, that's a stupid argument. Like, Nikola Tesla dropped out of college, bro. Like, I'm not claiming to be Nikola Tesla by any stretch. That's not my point. My point is, don't just talk down and dismiss people as if you're so much better than them based on their education. That's ignorant. Literally, the vast majority of millionaires, the vast majority of them did not finish college.
All right.
Put that one together for me, buddy.
We are so close there, Austin. And once again, I'm sorry for cutting you off. I'm doing it for your benefit. We are on the last couple super chats, so if you really got something pressing you need to get in there, we really did blast through a lot of these questions. So let's try to get something over here for Darryl. G Guns says, Darryl, no telescope can show the lunar rover. Why?
I guess you would have to show evidence of that. I'm not sure if that's the case.
Any thoughts on the other side with that quick wrap up?
No.
All right. G Gun says, Witsit and Brian Mullins versus MC Tune FTFE. Super debate. All right. So whoever Brian Mullins is,
No.
I guess there's somebody who heavily aligns with your views. Gee, you didn't even give us a topic there, G Guns. Just anything goes, I guess. You guys just debate it, and people hate it.
I gave both of those guys multiple chances of just maintaining basic morality, and they did not do so. I do not debate them out of principle. They claim that I'm scared. Debate them both a dozen times.
Right. Without getting into our inner dynamics of the show, we got drama, Witsit. We got drama all over.
Everyone just went. This is why I shouldn't engage.
No worries. Sacred says Witsit cooked him. End it by having him steel man. Ooh, Sacred, coming in with the last chat. Let's do that. Let's have some fun. We'll do some steel mans, and then we will do our closing statements. So, since we had fewer questions for you, Darryl, steel man, Witsit's argument for us tonight, if you can.
He didn't present anything on this side. I tried to get him to present some kind of equation or model. He couldn't. All he did was say, "This is your model, and now defend what I'm telling you your model is." Which is why I brought up the math to show you don't even understand the basic math. You don't even understand where the equations come from. You're talking about kinematic equations, so why would I believe you know about relativity? So he didn't present anything for me to steal man.
All right, Austin, same question. So if you can, steel man Darryl's argument that he presented
Dude,
this
the
evening.
fact he couldn't still man my argument is, well, it was pretty obvious, right? Here are Darryl's arguments still, man. Gravity disproves I'm gonna say it better than him. Gravity disproves geocentrism because of the mass of the sun in relation to the mass of the Earth, since the mass of the sun is so much greater than based on the gravitational equation proposed by Newton, which is of course proportionate mass, or mass attracts mass in layman terms, that the Earth will automatically revolve around the sun because the sun is such a greater mass. And then, of course, he actually completely neglected the fact that I refuted that directly by pointing out that Mach came along with Mach's principle and pointed out that Newton only thought that the sun was in the center of the entire universe and then didn't account for all the extra mass that would actually then result in the dynamic equivalence of the Earth being in the center. He avoided that at all costs. And then he also said, well, here are some clips of you. Look, we can't trust you, so everything else you say I can ignore. And that was about it.
All right. Well, that was a very fun way to kind of get to the end here before we do our closing statements. Run Boston Bear. I will say to all of our super chatters, and the last super chatter, Sacred, thanks for all the interesting ideas and getting us into new territory for discussion. We appreciate everybody who put in a super chat. Once again, we're having a live event, another debate con, so keep an eye out for those upcoming events. Run Boston Bear says, Austin, thank you for all your work seeking and sharing the truth. It's helped more people than you know. So just a little bit of positive interaction there for one of our speakers. We appreciate those type of super chats too. It just once again helps reset the tone sometimes when things are getting heated, when maybe they need not to be. That's great. So I do this EU style. You know how it goes. Darryl, you went first. So Austin, you will have up to 1 minute to close your thoughts on our discussion tonight, where everybody can find you, and if there's anything else you'd like to debate on the channel, let us know.
Sorry, you said 1 minute and me first?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah, it's pretty simple. I pointed out that logically speaking, the burden of proof is on the claim that is antithetical to what we experience. The heliocentric model admits that this is the case and that it's just an illusion that we experience the Earth in the center. And I asked for proof of it. He couldn't acknowledge it or provide it. Asked for direct measurement. He couldn't provide it or acknowledge that his model claims it doesn't exist. So long story short, there's dynamic and kinematic equivalence if I granted gravity. That certainly doesn't debunk geocentrism, and we've debunked it with interferometry with immense precision that had an error margin of 1 kilometer per second, but they measured 6 kilometers per second. It's been replicated multiple times. Like I said, that would never be addressed because no one will ever address it. It completely refutes the heliocentric model. So,
all right.
Well, check it out. Watch the principle. Watch heliosorcery. Just be open-minded to the truth. You may be surprised. It's like, oh no, you may be special and unique in your position in the universe.
All right. And on an off topic, Uncommon Sense says lift weights and remember not to watch meat videos, porn, bras. What the heck are you doing, Uncommon Sense? I
lift weights and don't watch corn.
Yeah, don't watch corn. That's right. I'm trying to help you out here. There's just too much.
That's good advice.
Yeah,
it's good advice.
Take that to your own space.
Pretty good advice, though.
You might
be literally a weapon.
He sounds pent up a little bit. Let's help him. No, honestly, let's give you your last minute there, Darryl, before we get distracted by the prawn, the misspelling.
Certainly.
It's so hilarious.
1 minute, you said?
Go ahead there. 1 minute closing. Darryl, what do you think of our discussion tonight? Maybe something else you might want to debate in the future that we haven't touched on tonight, and where everybody can find you.
Right. So thank you for having me, Ryan, and James, wherever you are. I know he's busy. I guess I want to close with a note of gratitude. So for the little amount of time that flat Earth and geocentrism has risen again in human society in this very small amount, and for the short amount of time it'll still be here before our technology so outstrips it that it'll be so horrible for people to believe it. Thank you, because you've motivated me to study a little bit harder and do a little bit more empirical firsthand investigation and learning and I appreciate that. It was fun being here. It was enjoyable. Hopefully, you all learned something. It was fun to be able to share some of my research that I'm working on. It's still in the initial phases, but you'll see me again. Maybe I'll make a full presentation on just the sun rotation. And if you're interested in some tutoring on math, physics, hit me up. And I'll see y'all next time.
Awesome. Well, thank you both of you for your closing statements, and not to Uncommon Sense for putting in that strange super chat at the end. Why would you make me say these words? I don't understand you fellas sometimes. Honestly, we have a lot of fun. That's all that really matters at the end of the day. So we appreciate both of our speakers. We appreciate you guys on the live chat. If you haven't already, once again, hit the like button. Subscribe to Modern Day Debate if you want to hear these events live. We will hit you up eventually, very shortly, with those DebateCon events and what we'll be up to there. So keep an eye out, and we will see you next time. Cheers.
faced with self-oppression. What am I to do but tear away when I'm boiling at the top? Try to find a way to fight the fire, smart to rap from the minds of liars. Call the shots as you bow your heads, and the march never stops. The stars could be free, but this insanity bends you right by the knee. Running in circles now for something that can't be found. Out of breath as you hit the wall, the rain starts to fall. You can run away, sing a tune that's true. I'll be beside you. Who's the one that holds you down? Push through there in your way, anything to make you stay. Cut the strings before your life starts to decay. From tears of blood, regrets of laughter, turn around as your heart beat faster. Your hollow shape as the faith begins to drop. Shelter can find your thoughts of suicide. It's hanging down by the fray. Running in circles now for something that can't be found, and there's no time for today. You prayed away that the world would be untrue. I will rise against you. Until they're gone, nothing can matter at all. Well, the stars could be free, but this insanity bends you right by the nail. Running in circles now for something that can't be found. Out of breath, smash the wall, the water consumed all. You prayed away that the world would be untrue as it rose against you. It's all here, but will you try? The pain unveiled through genocide. Until we're gone, nothing can matter at all. When you're gone, nothing can matter at all. Did you think it would always be for free? Now sit back, watch it burn, burn, burn.